up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream of Let's Get Nuts on Sunday. Guys, we have a crazy good panel with me today. All the boys are showing up to chat figure news, movie news, video game award news. We got a lot on the docket here. So we're going to jump right into it today, but make sure you guys, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It definitely always helps drive a little traffic to the show. Of course, with that said, I love your faces. Let's get nuts.
Hold on to your butts.
Come on, let's get nuts.
I give you Ben, Thomas.
Showtime.
Here we go.
So first of all today, guys, I want to bring in the person who's solely responsible currently for helping me get my channel membership started this week with some amazing, amazing illustrations of nuts that also look a little bit like ball sacks. Mr. Dean, the Dream Martin from Collecting Weekly, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming in. Good to have you back, man.
Yeah, that was definitely on purpose.
Yes, I'm glad there's no randomly sprouted, hairs at the bottoms or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
depends how close you look at it, I suppose. So, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in. We've got a
thanks
lot
for
to
having
chat
me.
about today. I'm excited to hear some of your take on the warm-up topic today, which is going to be Star Wars related. So we'll stick to
Hey,
that. So,
I'm excited.
but we got a very special two guests in the show with us today. First time on Let's Get Nuts, we have Collector Joey himself here. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going?
What up? What up?
Hey, man, good.
How are
You know what?
How are you?
I've been battling strep throat the last couple days,
Oh,
and
that's
it's
the
been
worst.
like the worst I've ever experienced. You know when people are like, "Oh, I'm sick. I've got strep throat." I've
Yeah.
never been all that sympathetic to that. I'm like, "Oh, what do you got? Like it's tough to swallow? Like that's fine. You'll be okay." This was the worst case of strep throat I've ever experienced, and it was
Yeah.
horrendous. So I'm happy I have a voice today.
You know when it's the worst is when you first wake up. Oof, that's the worst.
Yes,
'Cause
and
it's
you're all like
dry already.
dry, yeah, 100%. And then like I really like my coffee in the morning, my iced coffee, and I get
Yeah.
really pissy if I can't have my iced coffee. So, but dude, you've been doing some amazing channel content.
Thank you.
Later in the show today, we're gonna take a look at your channel and kind of what's coming up next and all the good stuff. But I definitely appreciate you being here with me
course.
today, buddy,
course.
for sure. Another special guest who is definitely, I would say, one of the key elements of your cop or drop show, Joey.
Big
Reverse Zeo is also here with us
Hey.
today. It's a huge panel today. I appreciate you being here, buddy. How's it going?
Going on, baby? What's going on, everybody? Excited to be here, Ben. Thank you for having me. Dean,
Absolutely.
it's a pleasure to see you again. Collector Joey, obviously, Copper Drop every Thursday. So thank you for having me on here, man. I'm really excited to talk about the topics that we have going on for today. So
It's a huge
Looking
amount of
forward
stuff. Huge amount of stuff.
yeah.
The
Good
entertainment
lineup,
side,
man.
especially, and the
Yeah.
game news side. I'm excited to get some takes from you guys
It's
on
the
those
Texas takeover down here at the Ben
Texas
Thomas.
oh,
Yeah.
baby, let's go.
It is.
Love it. And dude, I love your colored setup in the back there. You know me, I've always got my colors going on in the back here too, so looking crispy. But it's the bat signal over your right shoulder there that gets me every time you're
Yeah.
streaming.
Dude, I know. I actually missed the pre-order on it, and then he actually did like a second run on it. I can't believe I missed it the first time, bro. It's amazing.
Heck yeah, dude.
So yeah,
That's-
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm happy that you are here once again, good sir. And we will check in with the chat here shortly, but we've got one more member, of course, of a regular Let's Get Nuts crew. He's here in his teeny weeny beanie. We got Eddie Money Mendez with us. Having clearly a bad hair day under that hat, buddy, but you look real good, and I'm happy to have you here. How's it going, bud?
Happy to be here, man. Ready to bust a nut.
Busting nut, I love to say. What's your
Yeah.
shirt say there? Shaw
Oh,
Strength?
it's Brian Shaw, strength guy. He did
Oh, nice.
some Christmas shirts like a year or two ago that I picked up. So
That's awesome.
I wear it year round, but now at least it's like Christmas, so
There you go.
I could say I'm wearing it for a reason.
I thought it was a little bit like Deadpool, just kind of underneath it. I couldn't quite
It's a
read
big
it, but
buff dude
Jesus, yeah, no
with
doubt.
some reindeer.
I'm trying to get myself
Christmas
there,
spirit,
but it's,
man.
it's hard, it's hard.
I
It
don't.
takes a
I
lot of
should have
work.
wore my Raiders. I have like a Raiders Christmas beanie,
No,
and I don't know
it's
why I
okay.
didn't wear that one. Wow, you hate to see it, Joey. Wow, Texas. I forgot Texas was here, man.
Texas,
Yeah.
Texas represents. I'm the only Canadian, like the
Texas
only
goes.
chip in the cookie. You hate to see it, but
Wow.
guys, I want to jump right into it. Of course, on Let's Get Nuts, we always start with a bit of a warm up just to get the juices flowing. Today, I took a look at this slide because if you were a Star Wars fan, or maybe even not, but maybe you know a little bit about Star Wars, Dean, if you had to pick 3 of these characters to protect you, and the other 6 are trying to hunt you, who would you choose?
Sorry, my dog just went crazy.
Kevin going crazy.
He sounds just like my dog when he barks, dude. That's crazy.
He's still barking. Hold on, me might want to pick someone up.
Okay, you know what? We'll start with Joey first. We'll come back to
Okay.
Dean while he settles Kevin there. What do you think?
All right. I'm thinking right off the bat, I'm gonna pick Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda. Pick those to protect me.
Obi-Wan,
And then the
Yoda,
other
and sorry, who?
And Anakin.
And Anakin. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you'd be okay with Ahsoka coming after you? You'd be okay
Oh
with
wait, wait.
Mandalorian coming after you?
Wait.
These people are
Instead of
hunting you.
Anakin- Wait,
The only
instead
if
of
you don't pick. Yep.
instead of Anakin, I'm gonna do Luke.
Wow, you choose God. You chose
Hey,
Jesus over God.
Hey, who won in the end though?
Oh, damn.
You got him.
Damn.
Eddie Money Mendez. Oh,
I think it's.
Am I good? Am I back?
You're good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was wondering, like, were you shocked by my question or something?
Yeah,
Because we
I
were
know.
pros. I mean, my answer.
No. Sorry, for some reason the internet connection dropped a little bit. Apologies. We are having a bit of a storm out there today, so apologies,
okay.
guys. Eddie, what was your choices there, good sir?
I think it's funny that Han has that pose because it's like, who the fuck is gonna pick Han right there? Like, out of all these ones, like, what's Han gonna do? You know? For me, I think it's for sure Yoda, for sure Anakin, and then the third one, it's tough. I'm probably gonna go with Maul. But-
Okay. Damn.
Yeah, Obi-Wan is tempting, man. But yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
sorry about that.
No worries. Dean, what do you think, buddy? What would be your 3 to protect you and everybody else is willing to hunt you?
Let's see. This is a tough one. This is good. Obi-Wan and Yoda for sure. And I'm gonna go. You can't pick Darth Maul because he fails at literally everything he does. So he will fail you.
But if he
But-
gets cut in half, he'll come back to life and haunt you
Exactly.
again.
He just won't die.
Yeah. I guess I kind of gotta go with Luke because Luke beats Vader. And Vader beats everybody else on this list. So
That's fair. And then Zio, what do you think, buddy? What would be your 3?
So I'm taking Obi, I'm taking Luke, and I'm gonna take Maul. I think I need Maul to do the dirty work. I think the other ones will be a little hesitant on doing the dirty work. If they're coming after me, I need these people taken care of, and I need somebody to do that. It's gonna be Maul. Now, Obi, obviously, he defeated Anakin a bunch of times, so gotta go with Obi, and then obviously Luke. Those are gonna be my 3 picks right there, because I need the 2 clean ones and then 1 dirty. 1 dirty.
Good picks.
Yeah.
Good picks. Now, even though it's the young Luke that's featured here, are you just thinking Luke once he's like fully powered up?
Oh, that's a good point. If it's that Luke, then I'm taking Yoda.
Yeah.
If it's that Luke, I'm taking Yoda.
Because I feel like if anybody brings Farm Boy Luke for the most part, you're gonna get definitely killed.
bro, he blew through this though. What do you
Shredded.
mean?
yeah,
got
but
time
you
to-
know, he was hitting swamp
barely.
rats when he was younger. So
All
that's
right,
fine.
we'll think long term, right? Like we'll think longevity. So I'll take this Luke. I still got time to grow him, so we'll take this Luke.
Growing.
That's awesome, guys. That was fun. I would pick for myself Luke if he was powered up, Yoda, and probably Obi-Wan. I think those 3 would be able to keep me safe against the rest of them. But it remains to be seen. I'm seeing some great answers here in the chat. So let's actually check in with the chat a little bit earlier than we normally do because we already have 23 people joining us live. Thank you so much. Let's introduce everybody, of course. Nuts Assemble.
Is that everyone? I can put it more.
Nuts!
Assemble.
Guys, we have a brand new channel member in the chat already, Collecting Weekly. Good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for joining in. We've got Noble Young here in the chat. He says, "Nut man," love to see it. X-Men Supreme. If that is a custom sculpt for the Hot Toys Peacemaker, I want it. We will definitely be chatting about that today, good sir. So stick around. We got some guy in the chat. What's up, my favorite people? It's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining. We've got Alvin J, who is actually the very first channel member on the channel, as well as my very first super chatter ever. So thank you so much, Alvin, for your continued support, good sir. I definitely appreciate that. We got Jose G Hernandez, or Jose Plus, as people like to say. Now, Jose keeps telling me that he's going to retire from Let's Get Nuts, and he keeps sending me Michael Jordan memes. I want to hear everybody in the chat's opinion about that. If you guys can put in the chat for Jose Plus here, don't leave us because we love you and you are not a B team member anymore. You are on the A team. We just had to sub some people out today because we want to keep some fresh blood. But we love you. So if you guys like Jose G and you want to see him back on Let's Get Nuts, let's make sure we give him some love, guys. Okay. We got the Eclectic Collector here. He says, "Hello, everyone. Good to see you." Money Mendez himself. We got Action Figure Academy. Good evening, Benjamin. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in with us. We got the Movie Canon in here. He says, "Hello, Ben, fellow collectors. My guys Joey and Zio and the Dream Team. Love to see it." We got my friend Katera in the chat. Lovely to see you here as well. She's getting ready for work, but she said she would tune in, and I appreciate that. We've got my mom, Rachel Miller, in the chat, giving us a little wave from Ontario. Everybody say hello. Thank you for joining in, Mumsy. Good to see you. We got Ricky P in the chat here. He says, "Happy Sunday. Good to see you, buddy. I'm glad you were able to make it to another live stream. That's awesome." We got a couple answers here as well. So X-Men Supreme says, why does Zio and Joey look like the same dude at different stages of beard?
You copied my glasses.
You'll have to see that.
No, they're not the same ones. Mine's are shiny, bro.
That's awesome. Whenever I'm streaming with the boys on Collecting Weekly Tuesday, sometimes that does feel like the evolution of beard growth because, Eddie's always coming in pretty clean. Then we got me and we got Marco, we got Zach, we got Dean. We got very different stages of development there. That's for sure. Elvin J says, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Han. Interesting. I didn't think Han would be selected, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. Mom didn't understand the assignment. You had to pick 3, but Darth Maul and Yoda is all she needs, so fair enough. Jazzy says, "Gotta catch y'all on the replay, is gonna go watch a movie." I mean, you're dead to me now, Jazzy. I'm just gonna say that. No movie can be better than getting nuts with the boys here. But enjoy your time. Thanks for joining in. X-Men Supreme says, "Anakin, Obi, and Ahsoka, and Yoda. Also, only 3 allowed, so you're gonna have to strike one of these, for sure." Oh, he says, "Not this Anakin. Apologies. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Yoda." Never mind. Reverse, he's just saying hi to Movie Canon. Perfect. Guys, I will recheck in with the chat again there shortly. Let's get in, of course, to our first topic of the day. And that actually has to do with regards to the MCU. So one of the teases recently in an interview with Robert Downey Jr., he'd actually mentioned that there's a possibility that, if the script was right, if the character play was right, there might be an opportunity for him to come back. And Kevin Feige had also kind of highlighted that as well as a possibility, but nothing was actually officially confirmed. Then a couple days later, maybe a week later, it was actually then reported from Kevin Feige's team and him himself that he confirms that Robert Downey Jr. will not return to the MCU. So I thought it was a bit of an interesting and kind of confusing message, because at first it seemed like they were kind of dangling that possibility, and then they really shifted tones. So, Joey, I want to go with you first. What are your thoughts about that shift in tone? But what do you would you be happy to see a Robert Downey Jr. return? Why or why not?
I mean, I am a really big Iron Man fan, but I don't know. It's so hard because I do want to see him, of course, kind of like what we got with No Way Home, like that hype and everything around it would be amazing, even though it's not as long as like Toby had been gone. But with Iron Man, it's Iron Man. If he came back, everybody would go insane. But at the same time, you don't want to oversaturate him. You want to keep him out longer, I think. I feel like he could be out about another 5 more years. And I think at that time it would be a good time to bring him back. But right now, I'm okay with them keeping him out. I'm okay with it.
Because it could almost feel that like a bit of force feeding.
Yeah,
right?
it's like because everything's going downhill right now. It feels like they had to just involve him to bring everything back up.
Absolutely. Zio, if you had to say, I want to see Robert Downey Jr. back, would it be like a variant of what we've seen from Tony Stark, or would you actually want like the Tony Stark who died on screen in front of us all in such an emotional catharsis to come back? What would you say on that?
Honestly, I'd rather see a variant. And that's exactly what I was thinking about as I was reading this statement. I was like, it's not that Iron Man that we're looking at that's coming back. So that's a possibility of something that is going to be definitely open down the line for these people to return. So I think that would be a good way to keep that door closed to what we experience after that, completion of the Infinity Saga, yet still, leave that opportunity for these actors to make these cameos or these big moments in future cinema. So that's gonna definitely, be the route that I'd rather they take over undoing something just because they need the money or something like that.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Dean, some of the guys here have kind of mentioned that feels like the Marvel, MCU kind of trend is downward at the moment. We're going to talk a little bit about the Marvels shortly. But if Robert Downey Jr. made a return, what kind of return would you want to see? Either a variant? Would you want to see the original? Do you think it shouldn't or should happen? What are your thoughts there?
Man, that's tough. Because Robert Downey Jr. is so iconic. He's almost born to play that character. But yeah, I feel like making room for a new Tony Stark isn't the end of the world, especially because now we have the multiverse and stuff. So I think a variant could be cool. I think bringing back Robert Downey Jr. is them admitting that they're failing, and I don't think they want to do that. So they're like, yeah, no, we're not bringing him back. But yeah, it's interesting that they had to come out and say that they're not going to do it.
But it's so weird that they kind of dangled that carrot, like,
Yeah.
maybe he's going to come back, and then they pulled the plug on that like a week later. That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now, Eddie, I feel like the internet is a bit of a volatile place, and oftentimes you're one of the folks in my, YouTube groups, different channels that give me your most aggressive opinion, which I appreciate because you're very honest about your take. I feel like there's a lot of internet people out in the world there that would be like, if they see a Robert Downey Jr. come back, they're just going to say, this is a Band-Aid fix. This is because the MCU is failing. You're just trying to bring it back to life. What the hell? What's your take on this thought?
Oh, I'm excited. I wish they would bring it back just so we could get those takes. Nah, it's like Thanos said, dude. You couldn't live with your failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. I think that's exactly what it is.
Nice.
Yeah. They just need. They don't know what's going on right now, so they're backpedaling. They're like, what can we do? What can we do to bring the money back? And it's like, Robert Downey Jr. bring him back. But I have a feeling if they did bring him back with today's writers and today's idea of the path that they're on, I feel like it would just ruin him. It's kind of like when they remake stuff today and it kind of destroys what we already love. That's what I feel like would happen if we got him back. So would I be excited to see it? Yeah, but do I think it would be good just having... I don't think him being on screen is enough. I think it's the writers and everything too, so I don't know if that would fix it. But it would be a huge upset, and people would be rioting in the streets, and yeah.
Yeah. No, all good points, especially on the current set of writers, current set of kind of circumstances that they're in right now. There's no guarantee that even a return of him would be actually good. And I'm sure he would be so expensive to put back in that, would the return on investment even be there? It's hard to know 100%. I think for me, I don't want this to happen in any way, shape, or form. Austin Nicholas actually said a great point here that I agree with. It says that they need to get the MCU to where the current characters can stand on their own. And I agree with that. Because to me, the emotional death of Tony Stark, right? When we first met him back in 2008, and he stands up on stage in front of all the reporters and says, I am Iron Man. From that point to the end game where he's sitting there on his knees on the ground in front of Thanos and he snaps his fingers while he says, I am Iron Man. It was absolutely, in my opinion, a perfect wrap to that storyline. We saw somebody who was like historically a selfish, self-driven person become a hero and then die a hero, right? He didn't live long enough to become the villain. He died a hero, which is something that I don't think that they should unwrite, right? I think it would undo that emotional beat that we all felt during that time. And it would also just put in the mouth of everybody that watches MCU, well, I don't believe any death is actually real, right? We have that with Loki even up to a certain extent, but even Loki's story is one of the second best stories I think the MCU has actually done in terms of character development. But we don't want to be an audience that just sees a death and doesn't feel emotional anymore because we just think it's going to be underwritten in a year or two from now, or 5 years or 10 years, doesn't matter. That's not a great way to go.
What if his daughter was Iron Man and he was like her Veronica, and you would see holograms of him and stuff like that, like I could see them doing something like that.
Yeah, like is it her, or like the Veronica, or like the Jarvis kind of in the
exactly.
head.
Yeah,
That could be cool. I you know what, that could be something that is a bit of a way to bring him back without it undoing. At the same time, would you get even then enough screen time for that to necessarily be worth it, right? It's hard to say. So great thoughts on that, guys. Everybody watching in the live chat right now, keep us informed on what you're thinking there. Movie Canon says, I think RDJ is coming back in some capacity, maybe as a variant, which would still preserve the moment in Endgame. MCU needs a little push, as Ledger's Joker once said. Bring RDJ back is that push. Interesting thoughts. 160's Nuts, good to see you here, by the way, as well, says, I'd rather them bring back the Russo brothers than any actor. Need better writing. But even still, like, I feel like people are so critical of the MCU right now. Even if it was a well-written movie, there's a chance that it wouldn't do well without that star cast, right? The people who made it really truly feel like the Avengers. Right now, I don't even really know who the Avengers are, right? Like, the next Avengers film, who are our actual Avengers team? Unlike what we felt in the first Avengers movie in 2012, we don't really know. So let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Definitely appreciate you there. Let's move on to this one, shall we? So the top stars of 2023 have been announced under IMDb's logo. And, I think it's a relatively subjective list. I feel like there's a lot of people on here that are pretty obviously doing really, really well for themselves as actors, especially this year. But I wanted to go round table real quick if there was any standout performances on here for any of you guys. For me, it was actually Cillian Murphy. I've liked Cillian Murphy for a really long time. I loved him in Peaky Blinders. I always loved him as Scarecrow in the Dark Knight films. But not until recently have I really truly thought, like, wow, like Oscar caliber, like amazing performance like he had in Oppenheimer. So for me, I think my standout on this list, at least from this year, was Cillian. What about you, Dean? Any standouts here that really stood out to you this year, 2023?
Jenna Ortega, she kind of fucking seemingly came out of nowhere, because I had no idea who she was before Wednesday, and then they started putting her in fucking everything. But I think she's fantastic. I pretty much liked her in everything she's been in. Ana de Armas, of course, just fucking, she could do no wrong, honestly. But I mean, it's hard to argue against Pedro, right? He's fair. In so much shit, and for the most part, all pretty good. So
yeah.
A lot of Star Wars actors on this list.
A lot of Star Wars, eh? Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Katara Leonard in the chat, becoming a new channel member. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate it. And I saw Eddie, you did as well there earlier. Thank you, good sir. It's funny because when I pulled up yours, your head was literally floating over your body in the comments.
I know.
So it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
So, but you guys are sweet angels. I appreciate you joining the Nut Assembled crew. Joey, what do you think, bud? Any standout performances this year that maybe you didn't expect, or people that are now kind of on your radar for who to watch in the coming years?
I will say the same. Jenna Ortega, didn't know who that was, and then started seeing her everywhere, as well as what Dean said. I agree with that. Pedro too. I thought Pedro would just really play Mando, and that would be his thing. But honestly, I really felt him a lot more in and what, The Last of Us.
Last of Us?
That one was that one was really good. And isn't he going to be on is he going to be on a movie soon? I thought. forgot
So
if he was or not.
there's rumored casting of him becoming Mr. Fantastic.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
the
what it
Fantastic
was.
Four.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
I
was
thought that
in-
was crazy. Yeah,
Wonder Woman, that Nick Cage movie.
and
Oh, the Nick Cage movie.
Glass
that was
Onion?
cool.
No,
I like that.
What was
actually.
he in? He wasn't in Glass Onion, was he?
I don't know. I don't think I saw that one.
I think Kelly and Murphy too. Like I went, so we had the hype of the of Oppenheimer, and then when I went to watch it, I could finally see like how this dude can really act, and this dude was really good. That was a standout on that movie, even though I didn't think it lived up to the hype for me. That acting lived up to the hype, and I think it was really good. I'm not really good with actors. I don't know like people's names, but I know the face, and I'm like, oh yeah, he was from this, he was from this and this, But that acting was phenomenal. I love that one. But that's the ones that kind of stand. Oh, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's really good. But the only reason I know her is because of she was in Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim, I love that movie so much, and every time I see her, that's all I can think of. Even in Ahsoka, that's all I could think of is freaking Scott Pilgrim. So those are the only four I kind of really know now.
I totally forgot she was in Scott Pilgrim. That's
yeah,
amazing.
no,
I totally
love
forgot
that
He's in
movie.
Final Destination 3 too.
Oh, I don't. Jeez,
Yeah.
I don't even remember that movie all that well. All the Final Destination movies,
That's
it's still the
proof.
highway scene that gets me the most.
she's your pick of the week. She plays Bruce Willis's daughter in Die Hard.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
In the I forget which one it is. It might be.
Oh,
Live
in
Free or Die
the
Hard.
Live Free or Die Hard. Actually, maybe I do remember that now that you say that. I was thinking the original movie. I was like,
No, not.
Was she
yeah,
a
not
kid?
the original actress. No, when she's
Crazy.
grown up. Yeah.
I like Action Figure Academy. Not on this list here in terms of the screenshot, but Shin, aka Darth Barbie, was my jam for 2023. Definitely an honorable mention to her. She really, really stood out. I'll be curious to see the future of her career, both in Star Wars, but even just in other stuff. Interesting actress. And Jose Plus got a chance to take a picture with her recently at our Comic-Con. Lucky bastard. So, Reverse Zio, buddy, what do you think? Any standout performances here? Somebody, any of these characters or actors, I should say, that are going to, be the ones to watch for you?
Well, obviously everything that y'all already said, pretty much. I pretty much follow with that. Cillian Murphy from Peaky Blinders as well, man. Like that dude is a phenomenal actor. He really brought that show, that character of Thomas Shelby to life, and he did the same thing with Oppenheimer, which is really the main, reason I went to go see that movie as well, was just to see him and to see what he can do with this role. Obviously Christopher Nolan is a amazing director, but I just wanted to see what Cillian Murphy would bring to the table, and I think he really did bring it. So that was really cool. And then everybody else, obviously, like Jenna Ortega has been popping off this year. I liked her in Scream. I liked her in Wednesday. And then Pedro, the dude's just like he's just mainstream right now. So, but yeah, those are my quick thoughts. I think everybody already touched upon it. I'm not gonna add too much extra to it. But yeah.
That's interesting. I would still say Bella Ramsey for me was also somebody that, like, when we saw her in Game of Thrones, she was pretty young.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then seeing her in Last of Us, while I didn't totally love her as Ellie, she still had a very strong performance and was kind of an asshole, but in a really good way. Like she crushed the attitude side of that character for sure. But what about you, Eddie? Final thoughts here on any of these? Any differences in take, or are you feeling about the same?
I feel like the only real ones that I can talk to is Pedro and Bella from The Last of Us. And Pedro's been in a ton of stuff, and I think Bella really stood out as that kind of a sarcastic character, because I feel like she's almost opposite of that in real life, at least when you watch some of her interview questions, when you stay tuned towards the end of the show. Like, it seemed like she's a lot different, so I thought, dang, she really played that character well. The rest of them, I mean, they're all great. I love Margot Robbie in almost everything she's in, but I haven't seen Barbie yet. And Cillian Murphy, same in the movies that I have seen him in. He's great. I haven't seen Oppenheimer, though. And the other ones, I'm honestly kind of shocked that they're up there for top stars, because I'm like, what have they done? Like, I know Anna did Ghosted, which is what the picture is there, I'm thinking, and I haven't seen it. She's good looking, but I haven't really seen any standout performances from her yet. And so I don't know. I guess I gotta check. And then I'm really surprised to see Carla Gugino or Gugino. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but
Guguino.
I mean, I like her in Entourage and a lot of things, but I didn't. It's weird to see her as top star of 23 because I didn't know she was doing anything new. So I'm gonna have to look that up.
That's fair. It's interesting too, because kind of echoing what you've said, X-Men Supreme says here, like, what did Katie Sackhoff and Carla do this year? I would say Katie Sackhoff is probably on there for Mando season 3, just her role as Bo-Katan. You know, I think that season kind of shifted who the Mandalorian is to her a little bit over the actual Din Djarin Mandalorian. So that was kind of interesting. Carla, I'm not 100% sure. I know Anna de Armas has been kind of fan cast a little bit as potentially another Wonder Woman for the James Gunn DC universe, but I'm not as familiar with her otherwise. So could be interesting. But guys, we have 40 people in the chat watching live. Thank you so much for joining Let's Get Nuts Live. We definitely appreciate you there. Let us know if any of these stood out to you guys, especially in the comments on the video. I always like reading those, and I'll always get back to everybody. Christian Cooper here with us live. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in, as well as Mark P here, getting nuts with the Ben Thomas and friends. Good to see you rolling in there, buddy. Let's move on to the next topic here, guys, because we've talked a little bit about MCU already today, and I think this ties in really well because the Marvels, now being reported by Screen Rant here, had a $197 million box office run, which officially breaks the MCU's 15-year record for such a bad outing, unfortunately, in terms of box office. Now, I didn't help because I haven't seen this movie yet. I was one of those people that was willing to wait for it to come to streaming. I like the actresses that are all in it. I even liked Miss Marvel on Disney Plus. I didn't think that I would like it as much as I did, and had a really fun time with it. I really liked the actress that did that. And while I think Brie Larson has had some heat just over the years as somebody who is unlikable, I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like she's had a bit of a bad rap, and I think her films have actually been pretty strong as well. She's an awesome actress, definitely a badass, and I think well suited for the Captain Marvel role. It's almost unfortunate this movie wasn't more about her. It's like they added a bunch of characters in to try and top it up a little bit. But at the same time, again, I didn't see this. This was a wait for streaming. So my question for you, Joey, first, is why do you think this film did so poorly at the box office?
Yeah, I mean, usually I'm the first one there for like Marvel movies and stuff all the time, but this one I didn't go see. And there was something about this movie that really like, so every time I see a trailer or something, I'm usually like, dang, this trailer was good, dang, it was good. But this was one of the first trailers that I saw, and all of them were like kind of like, I don't know about this one. So I'm probably gonna wait. I don't know if I'll ever see it, but maybe I'll see it if I have to, for the story to actually make sense throughout the whole MCU. But I just don't know why it didn't. I heard it was a fun movie either way, even if it's not the greatest. I heard it was fun. But I just don't think this is a character that really excites people like an Iron Man, like I don't know, Captain America, things like that. I know they don't all have to be like that, but you got to make them exciting somehow, some way. Like you said, they had to throw in a few people in there to get people hyped up a bit. And I don't know, it just didn't hit that the right way for me. But I'm sure one day I'll watch it.
Absolutely. No, Dean, there's always a couple ways that I think these movies lately don't seem to do well. I think for the MCU, the initial, call it 5, even up to 10 maybe movies, the first 10, there was a good entry point for all of those characters for fans, right? You didn't necessarily need to watch all of the others in order to feel like you could go to the theater and just enjoy a superhero film as kind of that entry point. Now, over all these years of MCU, I know that there's a bit of that fatigue of, well, shit, if I haven't watched the last 3 movies and I missed a couple of the Disney Plus shows, I don't even really know who these characters are, so I'm not all that invested. There's also the wait for streaming thought process there. What do you think is a contributor to why this film maybe hasn't done as well as people would have expected?
Yeah, so just based on the reviews that were out about the movie, it's kind of just a nothing burger. It's just an excuse to have these characters kind of have a little adventure together, but it doesn't drive the story or the MCU as a whole forward at all. It's like a throwaway bad guy. It might be like a fun movie to sit down and watch and eat popcorn, but that's not enough to motivate people to go to the theater and see it. So if it was important, like Joey just said, like if I feel like I have to watch it, I will. But this movie is not that. It's really kind of just like I said, it's just hey, look, these people are kind of funny together. Check it out. It's like, I guess. I'm not going to get my fat ass out of my bed, drive to the theater, pay $20 to see this in the theater when I could just wait for it to. If that's all you're offering, I'll just wait for it to be here in my house. So, yeah, I think it's just a bad story.
That's
and yeah, it's like, well, you need more to motivate people to see it.
A hook. There's got to be that hook.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting because one of the very final theatrical trailers that was released, there was kind of an overdubbing of Thanos' voice, and talking a little bit about, somebody is always going to be there to continue what I've started. And there's a little bit of like, is Thanos going to be in this, or is the big bad in this film actually taking over for Thanos? Like, it was a very confusing marketing tactic, I think, trying to focus on a little bit of those member berries for fans. And then, spoiler, there's no connection to Thanos in the actual film.
Yeah, it's just like a throwaway bad guy. It's like, well, what is... In every Iron Man movie, even if it's a throwaway bad guy for the movie, right? They need something to move the story along. It moves the story along. Tony has growth from every movie to get him to the point of Endgame, where, like you said, the ultimate sacrifice from being the ultimate selfish guy to then, giving it all up to save his family and his friends. That's huge. But the movies we're seeing now, it's like, look how cool these things are. It's like, that's not enough, guys.
Visual noise. A lot of really good visual noise.
It's like we need substance to give a shit. And right now, I can't think of a single MCU movie, even like Ant-Man and Quantumanium. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. And I was like, oh shit. What's the bad guy's, what's his name?
Kang.
Yeah, Kang. It was like a throwaway Kang at that point. It was like, what the fuck is this? Like, that's what made Loki so interesting. It's like all of the stuff that happens in Loki matters moving forward. Loki had growth moving every episode to every episode. Like that, it was good. It was just well written, good story. And that's like the only thing that has mattered so far. It's kind of bananas.
Well said, Dean. Well said. Reversio, what do you think with regards to this film? Why are you feeling like people didn't show up? My question also includes this 45-day window from theatrical release to streaming. Is that a good thing, do you think? Or do you feel like that should almost change? Do you remember the days where you go to the theater and then be like, I can't wait for this DVD to release, and then feel like you're waiting months, if not years sometimes, it felt like. So the minute you got the chance to buy the movie, you would. But otherwise, you didn't want to miss the movie, you go to the theater. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that definitely plays a huge factor on it, because it's definitely a conversation that I've had with a lot of people since they started doing that. Oh, I'll just wait for it to come on Disney. Oh, I'll just wait for it to come on demand. So that definitely, I agree, plays a huge part into why me personally as well, I have been somebody who does that, right? I'm like, nah, I can wait for that movie to come to streaming. And a lot of people since COVID also have stopped kind of going to the theater, right? So that's not also something that helps out with the situation. But then going back to everything about what's bringing me to why am I investing in this movie? I think that one of the things that has not made this Marvel successful is that they're not creating that connection amongst the future of whatever route they're taking, right? I lost a lot of hope after they did the Multiverse of Madness movie, because I felt like they were setting up Wanda for something else after the WandaVision show. I thought it was all going to be connected. And I felt like after that, going forward, a lot of the connections were kind of like, separated. And now I go into this movie, which I have not seen either. I was kind of like, well, if what do they really bring to the table for me to be invested in this universe, going forward? Like, is there going to be anything that's going to really take part that I can't just read upon and just going forward look into that? Because I feel like a lot of times, that was why we were so invested in the past MCU. We was like, oh, well, what's going to happen next? There was this like revolving thing about the Infinity Stones, right? And so now what is it that we're interested in? Well, we're going to see a multiverse, or we could just see a bunch of different Captain Marvels. We could just see a bunch of different characters, but it's nothing that's going to lead up to the hype of, as of now that I know of. And that's where I fell off, right? That's where I fell off from them. I was like, where are we going with this? Like it's not calling me to go invest my time, because there's not anything going forward to or investing that I know of, or that they're connecting it to, outside of, just seeing more cameos and stuff. So I think that's what's going on sometimes.
It's the connections that make a difference, 100%. And that, again, that hook, like Dean said, into the next one. Why do I want to care about what's happening with these people in this world, right? The visual noise is great if it's attached to really strong story, right? You think about the Winter Soldier, right? Captain America and the Winter Soldier, how good that story was. And while there was some great action, there was definitely some of that visual noise there. It was the story that really got people to love that film and have that on its kind of, top 5, top 10 MCU film list. Elvin J here in the chat says it's better than Iron Man 3 and asks, has anybody on the panel seen the Marvels? I would say it doesn't sound like it, and it's unfortunate. That's why I wanted to talk about it, right? Because there was a time for me where if a Marvel movie was coming out, I was first in line. I was looking forward to it. I'm texting my buddies to be like, when are we seeing this film, right? Like, now it's just like
Thursday showings to see it early.
100%. Now it's just like I'll see it when I see it. That has to be talked about. I think that's so important, because why has that so dramatically changed? Obviously, opening box office weekend, it plays a part, in driving people to see it, right? Oh, it's not doing well, it must be a bad movie. That's all perception stuff. Elementals had a horrible box office initial weekend, and went on to make $500 million. Like, if it's a good movie, it will catch fire because the story is good and people will go to see it. But if nobody's still seen it, that's a problem for the MCU. And it worries me about the future of superhero films, because to me, I'm a big geek. I am surrounded by superheroes in this room. That is my jam. That's what I want to see. It blows my mind that even I haven't had a chance to go and see this yet. Eddie, final thoughts on this, because I see you battling Elvin J here in the chat as to what's better. Love to see it. What are your thoughts on the Marvels here not doing so great, and streaming and all of these stuff that we've mentioned already?
Okay, I'm sorry, Ben, because this might be a long-winded answer, and I hope I can articulate.
We've got 37 whole seconds.
Jesus. Okay,
the timer.
So first of all, I feel like what we're talking about here is our opinions why it didn't do well in box office, not our opinions why the movie sucks. So if you're taking it as
good clarity,
as why we think the movie sucks, we're not saying that. We're saying why we didn't personally feel to go see it in theater, or why we think it didn't succeed. So that's
clarity.
one point. And then second of all, I am someone who loved the first Captain Marvel movie. Like, people didn't like that movie. I thought it was great. I loved Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I loved her playability with Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, and I thought that was great. I thought her origin story was really good. I felt like there was some substance there with her character in that movie, and I know a lot of people didn't feel that way about that movie, but I did. And then you have this, and so what's going to draw you to this, right? It's either your love for her, your love for Miss Marvel, or your love for Monica Rambeau. Well, if you go back, if you didn't like Miss Marvel, why would you care about her in this movie? Which I personally didn't get drawn into that character. And then Monica Rambeau, we really don't have much background on her except for WandaVision, right? And there wasn't a ton there to make you fall in love with that character. So I feel like nowadays they just don't know how to build a character up to, like Dean said, to give it substance or to give you a reason to like or be invested in a character. So you throw all that together, and none of that brings us in. And then you have trailers, like Joey was talking about. The trailers really didn't draw you in. The only thing I found interesting in the trailer was that Nick Fury was in this, and I love Nick Fury. And like I said, I like Nick Fury and her together. So I thought that might be cool. But other than that, it looks like a goofy movie from the trailers. It looks like a bunch of fun, which people can go and say like, oh, it was fun. And I think if you have kids, then you have a reason to go see a fun movie. But like, take Thor: Love and Thunder for instance. It's just goofy. So there's a hard line between goofy and fun. And I don't even think that they nail that well. So that's what I saw a lot in the trailer. And so I'm like, I'll wait for Disney Plus. Well, I love going to the theater, and I love going with Adriana, and that's like a big thing that we do on the weekends. We usually go once and see something, even if it's something I'm not totally invested in. We'll go see something. I offered twice to Adriana, let's go see the Marvels. Fuck it, like there's nothing in there. She picked other movies, you know, and she's not as invested in the whole MCU as I am, and it's strong female leaded characters. You know what I mean? So like, you would think Adriana would want to see the Marvels. She could care less. So it's like, it's a hard subject to talk about. It's and then it's something that you can't really talk about, because if you're not careful, people will say there's other things behind your reasoning for not seeing that movie. And it's like, no, I think that they just didn't do a good job of selling it to us. You know what I mean? So hopefully I articulated all that well enough, you know?
You did, and I appreciate the clarity, because, yeah, anybody watching even live or on the replay, I'm not saying that this is a bad movie. It might be amazing. In fact, I still definitely will watch it. I wanted to know why we didn't go and see it. Like, what was the reason we didn't see it? And
I think it was
for me,
commercials. I think it's
the commercials didn't help. Keep in mind there was also the writers and actors strike leading right up to the release of this film. So usually, you know, these actresses who are lovely and, you know, very full of life can go around on all the talk shows and talk about how exciting this movie was to make and how fun it was to work together and all of those things that we didn't get a chance to see this time, right? And that, at least for the, you know, a percentage of audience, does draw people in. If you see her on Jimmy Kimmel talking with him, you might go and see it now, right? Because you had fun watching her on that show, right? So there's definitely reasons, but all great takes there, guys, and thanks for keeping it positive. Thanks for keeping it positive in the chat as well, guys, and great debates there as well from everybody that I can see for sure. We have 50 people watching live as well, so again, thank you for tuning into Let's Get Nuts today. We've got some video game news, and then we're going to talk a little bit about, well, I should say quite a bit about some of the figure news that we've got, because all of us here are, of course, 1/6 scale collectors as well. So Grand Theft Auto 6, the trailer for this game has finally come out. I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 since 2012, late 2012, early 2013. I've played it on the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4, now the PlayStation 5, which blows me away. It was a way for me to connect with my friends back home when I moved across the country. It's recently been a way for Dean and I even to get on and just kind of mess around, blow shit up, have some fun, do some glitches, you know, make some money, buy some cars, lots of fun stuff there. It was starting to, though, feel like maybe they'll never give it to us, right? If Grand Theft Auto 5 is still profitable, is still it blows me away how expensive it is still on the PlayStation store. Like, if it's still profitable, will they ever give us GTA 6? We finally get the trailer for the game, and while it's all like, there's no gameplay footage from what we can see there, it's mostly just kind of what the world will look like and some teases there. My first thought was, it looks pretty amazing. I'm very excited. The only thing I'm disappointed by at the moment is that we're waiting until 2025 to at least see this, and we don't know whether it's early 2025 or late 2025. So this could be as much as a almost 2-year window still. But it still has me freaking hyped. And I want to hear from you guys first before there's a few things that I say that I hope to see in the game. So, Joey, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this on your Copper Drop show earlier in the week, but didn't get a chance. So what are your thoughts on Grand Theft Auto 6 on the way?
like you said, this has been so long. We have been waiting for this, and I can't believe I am looking at this right now. That's how long it's been. So I have a friend that his kid is about 10 years old, and I thought about it. I'm like, I've known his son forever since he was born. I was like, this game was around since the GTA 5. This game hasn't been announced my friend's son's whole childhood till now. It's crazy how long it's been since we got one of these new Grand Theft Autos. And like you said, like, man, just being with your friends on this game is like a whole different feeling, especially when you do like the races on here with your friends.
Yeah.
Those are like the best things, the races. But it got to a point when I was online to where like I couldn't even go outside on these games where I'm getting blown up by somebody. Like you gotta strap up when you're going outside. But the trailer looked really good. I did a reaction video too, Ben, like you did, and it was so fun to do that. I had never done one of those, but I was like, I have to on GTA 6. And the trailer did not disappoint. Everything was, like you said, we didn't get gameplay or anything, but just seeing it right there looked really cool. I didn't think that the water in Miami looked that clear. I don't know if Miami has that clear of water, but I know Destin, Florida does. That's because my mom lives over there, so I know what that looks like. And it looked just like that. And I was like, dang, that's going to be so fun. And like you could see the sharks in the water too. Great. I thought that was amazing. You could see like the different type of dogs they're going to have in it. And I was like, since we waited this long, I hope we can go into like more buildings and stuff, because GTA you can't really go into like a random building or something, but at least let us be able to go inside of like the lobby of a hotel, like all the hotels, just the first floor, maybe be able to go up some stairs or something like that. I know it's a huge world, but that would be something that would blow me away if we can just go into random buildings without, like how you have to stand on the circle and then the loading screen goes and then you're in there. No, like I'm talking about you just walk in there like the convenience stores. You just walk right in. I would like to have that without loading or anything. Since we've waited this long, they should have that, I think. And I really wish they did have the branded cars. You would think they would have that, right? Like that
you would think it would be such great advertising for those car brands.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, except you run people over with them.
You kill
That's
kill
true.
That's good. But I mean, they have them in movies, right? So
yeah. You have blood on the Ford emblem and shit. Yeah. But I think it's going to be so cool. And what I think, because I played Vice City too, and I think what's going to be really cool is having one of these like old Ferraris or something, and if they have the music from the Vice Cities, that would be amazing. I would absolutely love that.
I saw the Ocean View Hotel in the trailer there, which is awesome. The very first save point of Vice City, right?
And when I went to LA for the first time, I think it was either last year or a couple years ago, I went to the GTA spot. So I was like, I got to go to see what this looks like in person. Like that big hotel, the big one that you could buy. I went to that. I forgot. And I went to the Muscle Beach. I was like, oh man, this looks exactly like it. I thought it was really cool.
That's awesome, dude. I love all the body types even that I saw, right? Like,
when I
think back to Vice City, it's 5 different people on the beach. That's pretty much it. And there was
the
hundreds
same boat
of different
going by, the same boat in the water.
Hundreds of different body styles and types and of looking people. I wonder if it'll be like San Andreas was, where you can become a bodybuilder if you want. If you go hit the gym and if there's that range of body type, right? Or can you get fat if you want to? Or like, what's that? Can you own pets? If there are pets, can you have like a little pet companion walking around with you everywhere? That would be cool. What about you, Zio? From the trailer that you saw, what are you getting hyped about with regards to this game?
I like the diversity that I saw, man. There's a lot of things going on, different kinds of groups, different kinds of events going on. So I think that's going to be one of the fun things that I want to see is how far can they take this with, having different environments, not just having like, I want to see the whole swamp thing, how the swamp thing will look like versus the city. And, maybe, it'd be cool is if you could have like pets or something like that, right? Like, owning an alligator or like a tiger, like Scarface, dude, that'd be cool, right? That'd like having like things like that. And then just, making the game more, I guess like where you can develop the character, like you said, like in San Andreas, where you could go work out and then increase your stamina and things like that, like build your character or things like that. Would be something really cool would be if they got a contract with like Spotify, and if you logged into your Spotify, you could play your own music on the game. That would be
that-
so freaking
be cool.
awesome. So you could be jamming to whatever you want with the while you're playing and stuff. That'd be really cool. So, but other than that, I mean, it's crazy that I'm looking at this because this almost looks like, you know, like, oh, this is fan made. Like this ain't even happening, right? Because it's been so long. It's almost like a myth that it's even here. And then, I mean, you know, granted, we have to wait a long time, but as collectors, by the time that this game comes out, at least we'll have many of our pre-orders by then to keep us busy by then, right? Because that's
kind of like a hot toy. It's kind of the hot
You're
toy.
sick.
Right?
It's like
that.
I'm just saying, man. Like it sucks because like you're like, damn, now I gotta stay alive for another 2 years to get to this. You know? So it's, you know, it happens. But I mean, I'm excited. Looking forward to the graphics, the driving. Hopefully, the driving game, the mechanics also get a little bit better. That's one thing that I would like to see is like better handling of the driving and stuff like that. So.
And like I think they could improve on it. It's still in terms of driving games, I would say GTA 5 is still one of my favorites though. Driving around, like I've always found the cars were fun to drive in comparison to like other actual like racing games even, which is kind of funny. You mentioned race tracks earlier, Joey. Like for about a year I customized my own tracks before they came out with all the stunt tracks and everything. Because in the customizer you could start your races like on top of buildings if you wanted to. So I had a couple tracks where the the starting line is right at the edge of a building, and the first thing you have to do is drive off the building and try and land on your wheels to then go, which was really, really fun. So
remember when they added first person? Remember that when they added the first person shooting? I was crazy. I thought that was like one of the biggest things they did.
Absolutely. Dean, you and I've played this a little bit. We've had quite a bit of fun with it already, and we've only probably put in, I don't know, 20 hours, nothing crazy, but I can envision a time where this will be how we connect on the regular basis. What are you excited about with GTA 6 on the way, buddy?
Oh, I'm really excited for you to pick up Elden Ring again first.
My God. Okay.
DLC is coming. This man, where do I even start? I'm so hyped for this. One thing I'm definitely gonna do, and I don't know about you guys, but I love the show Dexter. His apartment building better be in this fucking game.
That can be dope.
That would be cool.
Because it's kind of like an iconic little building in its own right. So I feel like it should be there, and I feel it'd be nice if you like went to like his apartment window. There's like a bloody handprint or something.
You
That'd
imagine?
be amazing.
That would be cool.
That'd be really cool.
But yeah, this trailer is basically shot for shot real videos from the internet from Florida.
The lady with the hatchet and the screwdriver. Whatever.
Yeah, in fact, if you go to YouTube, you could find somebody compilation both the trailer and then all the videos that they're based on. But yeah, dude, this thing's got me hyped. First female lead in a Grand Theft Auto. That's super cool. Ben, you know, I always play as a female in most games that let you pick. So
You do?
I'm cool with that. She looks like a babe anyway. A Latina, I don't know if she's a MILF, but a hot Latina.
Some kind of Spanish, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm all sorts of hyped for this. 2025 though? Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I thought it was at least gonna say Christmas 2024. Like, oh, a year out, start, you know, put out trailers. We've already seen some leaks, kind of like gameplay in the works. So I was like, okay, it's gotta be, if they're coming out with a trailer, it's gotta be soonish. But we didn't even get a day in a month in 2025. It's like, it's probably gonna be Christmas 2025. And Zio, you were like, man, I gotta stay alive for 2 more years. I know that exact feeling. That's that's how I felt about Final Fantasy 7 remake. I was like, dude, like I just like I have to stay alive. Like
I felt that for No Way Home. That's what I was feeling for No Way Home.
Yeah, or like when the Star Wars movies were coming out before we knew they were dog shit. Yeah, that's hilarious that you said that. I was like, fuck, I've felt that before.
Yeah, man, it's the real thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
One of the
yeah,
things I would have also thought would have been really cool, Dean, would have been if you could fly from one city to another. Like, if you could go from a Los
Yeah.
Santos to a Vice City and, like, you know, you actually get in a plane and, like, fly over the ocean to get there, sort of thing. Like make it more of like a GTA world as opposed to just a city. That's kind of what I had envisioned for the future. And who knows? I mean, we don't know what this entails. Maybe there'll be some DLC at some point or something along those lines that gives us that. But
yeah, because
that would've
like in
been cool.
Grand Theft Auto 5, I mean, I have what 50 or 60 cars that I've customized and spent money on, and it's like, do I just want to like give all that stuff up? It'd be nice if they let you take like at least, I don't know, like a garage with you or something, like,
Yeah.
and have it transferable between, you know, like let's just say you're playing GT5 online, you get in your car, drive to a, what do they call those boats where you take your car on them?
Like a ferry.
A ferry, thank you.
Yeah.
And then it ferries you over to GTA 6 online. That'd be sweet.
Can you imagine? That's awesome. We've got Elvin J. He sent us here a $4.99 super chat, a $5 super chat. Thank you, good sir. I was about to cut the show short because, you know, I didn't know if Alvin was still left, but I'll give you this, Alvin.
5. I'll stay.
Alvin says here, how young is too young to play this game? I was playing and watching things I probably shouldn't have all my youth, and I turned out somewhat all right. Eddie, I want to go to you with that question. How young is too young to play a Grand Theft Auto game? It's rated mature, but let's be honest, most people can get their hands on it. I think I started playing Vice City at about 14, I want to say, killing hookers and all that stuff. So what are your thoughts
I was
on
definitely
that?
younger than 14 because I think
Yeah.
I was playing in like 5th and 6th grade, so I was probably like 11, 10 or 11. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to say like 13 minimum, but I did it, and you know, I'm sure other kids will do it too because parents are just like, yeah, sure, you could have it, you know, no one cares. So it's like, I don't know, but I remember being a kid and being like, dude, you could pick up hookers and look at the car bouncing, and all you want to do is like start fights with random people on the street. And like my biggest thing was like seeing how high I could get the star rating. And like see
That's
how
fun.
long I could survive against the friggin' military and when the helicopters show up and everything.
All the craziness
So,
that
yeah,
ensues. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not the best answer for this question. So
Is there anything you're excited about then with regards to GTA 6? Anything you're hoping to see in the game?
I honestly don't even know if I'll play, man. I didn't
yeah?
play
No,
5
What?
at all.
Okay, fair.
The last what's more recent? San Andreas is more recent than Vice City, or because those
No,
were
San,
the last
yeah,
two I
San Andreas
played.
Yeah.
came after Vice City. Yeah.
Yeah, those were the last. I loved San Andreas, but I think after that I went into Call of Duty, and I never played anything else after San Andreas. So, yeah, I just don't have patience for like free roaming games that you could do whatever you want anymore. Like if I'm free roaming, it's multiplayer. You know what I mean?
Like
Like
something
in
that keeps
COD.
you on
San Andreas
track a
was
little bit.
fire though, man. That game
Yeah,
was fire.
It was sick. So I don't know. It's cool that everybody's all happy. I know they've been talking about this game for years, so that's cool. It's finally coming.
I
Yeah,
want to
and
add.
I'm not get-
Can I add
Yeah,
one more
100%.
thing? I really like the Bonnie and Clyde aspect of it.
Yeah, dude.
I think that's really cool.
That's gonna be cool. I couldn't believe. I know it was a weird thing to notice on the video, but like the dude's chest hair at the very last scene.
Yeah,
like
I saw
she's
that
like
too.
putting her fingers through his chest hair, and I'm like, man, that looks like crazy detailed. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I
Why
think
would
too
you
young.
notice that?
I don't,
We're gonna
I
be
don't
paying
know.
attention
So
to chest hair in the game
Yeah,
now.
I know.
You watch. Now you're gonna be like, Ben was right.
Oh my god, I cannot see chest hair now in the video game.
Guys, I've got one more piece of entertainment news that I want to just quickly share because I did pop up, and I don't know if it's a spoiler. I don't know if it's actually going to be legit with regards to Deadpool, but I do want to share this slide first. So Dean the Dream Martin has helped me create a channel membership for the channel. There's no pressure for anybody to join, but the way this is that, you know, every Sunday we have a Let's Get Nuts show. The people who come week over week over week over week, if there is a chance that you would like a nut beside your name, right now it's in development, but the 0 to 6 months you get the basic nut on the left there. Once you are 6 months or longer, you become, in my opinion, one of the dark nuts. to which I appreciate. I am going to try and get Dean to help me make a couple more on the in-between the 0 to 6 months, so stay tuned for that as well. Max price is $1.99. I didn't want to make it any more. I wanted to just make it accessible for everybody if you wanted that. Also, while you're in the chat here, if you're a member already, you can put in some of these custom emojis. So if anything you hear Dean or any of the guys here say that you don't like, you can always hit the nut button against them, or any of the things. The Jumbo, you see me doing that to you guys all the time. Currently, this is the updated slide as of before the show, and we've already had a few more people join. Alvin J was the very first, so thank you so much. Collecting Weekly was the second. Again, thank you so much. I'll continue to update this slide as we go along, but I wanted to show that to you guys because Dean put in some hard work in his illustrations to help me get that all set up. So also thank you to Dean. Shout out to you, buddy. Now, last entertainment news before we get into some figure news, guys, is the new Deadpool 3 set image confirms X-Men Sabretooth will return. Now, I mean, again, this could absolutely be fake news, but I wanted to quickly show you guys some of these, and I don't know if this is spoiler or if this is Ryan Reynolds trolling his audience, because he knows that people are taking pictures from somewhere up on this hill, let's be honest. And we're seeing here Hugh Jackman look like he's fighting the Sabretooth from the original X-Men films, which is kind of fun. You also see him here hold a severed head, which looks pretty intense. And so, Dean, I wanted to go to you first. Do you think that these are real images? Do we actually think Sabretooth could make a return? Or do you think Ryan Reynolds is trolling his audience just to get people to watch? What do you think?
Oh man, I mean, I feel like Sabretooth is a really important character. Mm-hmm. So to decapitate it, I'm assuming that's his head.
Yeah, it looks like it.
It'd be kind of
green screen there.
Yeah, it'd be kind of shitty to kill him off like in the third movie, or really his first movie, I guess. Return.
His return, yeah.
So I feel like this might be a troll because, like you said, they know people have been taking photos. So, but it's like, are they really gonna waste a whole fucking day on set making fake shit?
You never know. I mean, those guys are pretty loaded, so they might just say screw it. Just to get
or
people
like, hey,
up.
we got all these really important films to scenes to film. Sorry, so let's just throw in a couple troll scenes to. That's also totally possible, but yeah, that's funny.
That's awesome. What about you, Joey? Do you think this is a troll from Ryan Reynolds, or do you think this could actually be a real thing? Seeing Sabretooth coming back.
I think it's real because like they came out and said like we don't want you showing any more images. Didn't they come out and say that like no, can you guys respect it and all that? And, and stop sharing it. So I think it's real, but I think this was like the final straw. Like they're done. You're not going to see anything else, behind the scenes from this anymore. Which I was getting a little tired of seeing it because I feel like I kind of know a lot of the movie now just by seeing a few things. And it kind of sucks, but I'm not into the X-Men, so I don't know much about Sabretooth. I just know Deadpool and Wolverine because that's basically all I know. So, I mean, this is a new character for me, so that's basically it. I mean, it's just behind the scenes stuff. I don't want to see any more though. If I see another one, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point myself. And this was all over the internet, which is why I did want to caution people. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. This could 100% be a troll from Ryan. I could see that be the case for sure. Austin says here, Sabretooth, if he's back, better be Tyler Mane again. That was him, right? Pretty sure it looks like him from a distance, and X-Men Supreme echoes that as well. Would be cool to see Tyler Mane come back for this, but we need a better Sabretooth going forward if he's going to be around, and I do agree with that. Is this some kind of Elseworlds being pulled in? Be interesting to see. What about you, Zio? Do you think this could be a bit of a troll, or do you think this is actually a spoilery image here?
I think it's a troll into what we're thinking about this scene. It's probably a variant, considering that this Wolverine will not really be the Wolverine going forward. I'm pretty sure they're going to start over. So this could be, I've heard some rumors. I don't know if this is confirmed, but I heard Mobius was going to be in here. What's his name? Mobius or whatever his name was?
Owen Wilson's character.
So I don't know if they're going to be going across like different variants that they have to capture or whatnot. So this could just be like a small scene in impact towards the whole movie. It might not make a big difference. It's just a big scene for us because we're just speculating at this point. So I'm just gonna take it like that. I'm just if it turns out to be something huge, then damn, we got spoiled, right? But it's all right. I've seen the pictures, and I don't think he'll play a big part to this movie. It would be nice to see the original actor come back for it, just for this cameo. But I'm just gonna say that that's probably what we're gonna get with this movie. A lot of cameos. You know, we saw that even with the end of Deadpool 2 when we saw him, killing off the other Wolverine that we saw, or the other Deadpool and stuff like that. So, little cameos like that are cool, especially for Deadpool. He makes a fun way of
That Wolverine
ending,
Origins movie got a bad rap. I actually kind of
Yeah.
liked it back then. I had a fun time with that movie, and I really did like the video game that was associated with that
Dude,
one as
it was
well.
cool, man. I think at the time it was cool. I think some movies we just enjoy sometimes better than other people, so it just depends, right?
Absolutely.
But
What about
yeah.
you, Eddie? Is this a troll, do you think, from Ryan? Do you think this could actually be a spoiler image? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if I think that it's a troll. I think it's probably definitely a part of the movie, but I think this movie is gonna have so much different characters and different things going on in it that
Bears.
there's literally that's why you've seen so much, because I feel like there's gonna be so much. So I feel like even though we've seen a little bit of things so far, I feel like it's nothing compared to what the movie will be as a whole. So it's cool. I just thought about this too. Like, it's cool to see that original Sabretooth back, but they kind of changed him going forward with Wolverine Origins, right?
Mhm.
His Sabretooth was like his brother, so I wonder if we'll
brother,
see
yep.
him
That's
as
true.
Sabretooth as well in it. So it is
True.
probably a multiverse kind of thing. Well, maybe we'll see both, but I think there's just so much that I don't think this is like a little breadcrumb compared to like what we'll see in the movie.
Right? All the spoiler images could be about 4 minutes of footage in the whole
Yeah.
2.5 hour movie, right?
It could just be
Depending.
like the end credits for Deadpool when he goes back and
Kills everybody.
heals himself and
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Like, I
I
feel
can see
like
that
that's
too.
more it'll be like just a couple seconds of stuff.
Cool. All great takes, guys. Thanks for sticking with us here, the 45 people watching live. I wanted to stick with this image first as we go into the figure news, because obviously in the picture we're seeing on the screen right now, Hugh Jackman is in a yellow and blue outfit, and I can hear my like Hot Toys wallet calling me for a Hugh Jackman in yellow and blue suit from Hot Toys. Like, I want that figure. If it doesn't come, I'd be 1,000% shocked. I definitely think that's a possibility. But Hono, I want to say Toys, Hano or Hono, I'm not too sure how you say it, from Hot Toys, so a kind of a divergent company from Hot Toys, but under the same brand, has given us this pre-order this week. And we're looking at kind of a comic-inspired version of Wolverine in the yellow and blue suit. Now, it's interesting to me because when I first saw the spoiler image of this before the actual like product photos went up, I hated it. I thought it was awful. In fact, I messaged Eddie right away because you could zoom into the picture a little bit and it looked like he was wearing black like lipstick, and his dick in his shorts. I know
Jesus Christ.
I know, right? I know it's hard to say it, but like it looked like this weird thin hot dog blue banana hammock thing, and I
Still kinda
hated it. I was like, what is that? What is that faceplate? Like, pass, hard pass. And then the product photos popped up, and I was like, ooh, okay, wait, actually, that does look pretty cool. Holy crap. Like, this material looks pretty good. You saw here that it says it's an entry grade figure, 1/6 scale, high quality, highly articulated, coming in Q3 2024, so kind of within the next year. And we all started speculating what's the price point. If it's entry grade, what does an entry price look like? My comparison was Mondo Toys, right? I'm thinking Mondo Toys are all plastic. They've done the X-Men animated series lineup, and they typically go somewhere between like kind of an absolute minimum of 185 to kind of that 245 range. So I figured entry grade at least 225 was what I was speculating. $160 is what this pre-order has been put up for through Sideshow's website, and to me, that was an immediate buy. While this is considered an entry grade figure, I've wanted this like style of Wolverine for quite some time. The price point to me was like a why not? Why not check it out? Get the first version of this Hano Toys X-Men Wolverine character. I don't have anything to pair it with right away, but with the seamless arms, I think I can fit him into my movie realistic scenes. So heck yeah. So Joey, I want to go to you first, buddy, because my question for you is A, should collectors wait to buy this to see if the Hugh Jackman yellow suit is going to come? Or do you think that there's room in people's collections for both? And are you interested in getting this figure in your collection?
So I think so. What was the first question again? There's three of them.
Should collectors wait? Should collectors
Oh,
wait
should-
to see
no,
if there's
you
a
know-
yellow and blue suit?
I like I said, I am not a Wolverine guy. I mean, I'm not a X-Men guy at all, but I do love Wolverine. I love the character. I always thought it was really, really cool. Logan really got me into Wolverine a lot. So I was like, you know what? For the right price, I think I can do it. And when I saw that 160, I put it up on my store. Right away, I just bought that thing. I no questions asked, just because, you know, it's the first figure coming from this company. You got it for 160. It's 2 payments of $75. I had some rewards left, so I was like, you know what? And are these die-cast claws? Do you guys know? I thought I heard they were, but they might not be.
They are listed as metallic in look, but I don't. They haven't
Okay,
actually
all
called
right.
them die cast. So I think
Okay,
that they're
all
probably
right.
plastic painted metallic.
Yeah. So I totally think that if you're waiting on Hugh Jackman, just think about it as like, you still got to wait a year for this figure, and you still got to wait a year for the movie, the Hugh Jackman, to even get announced. Then after that, it could be 2 years you are waiting for Hugh Jackman after that. So 3 years in total. I don't know why you would just not substitute. And especially if you have a Deadpool already, you could have them fighting already, because it's basically the same suit from Deadpool 2 to Deadpool 3. And then this one, you don't have to have an exact accurate face for this one because he's already masked. So it'd be looking cool when the movie comes out. You can have these two fighting. I think that would be really awesome. But yeah, I think this is a good first figure for them. A lot of people like it, especially that base. That base looks amazing. I think, look at that. That's awesome. And especially if you get this signed or something, it's gonna look really nice behind them. You could put artwork behind them. You can put another comic book behind them.
Like your own comic book, your favorite
Yeah.
comic book of
Yeah.
Wolverine, right? That's cool.
And the accessories are very limited. You don't have to, get the space for them. You don't have to put them, and like I have a tackle box where I put all my accessories. I'm running out of space on those. This just takes one little slot. That's it, and you're done. So yeah,
That's awesome.
I think this is a good idea. Yeah,
Well said, buddy. Well said, Dean.
yeah.
There's a lot of Wolverines that have kind of been teased lately. There's actually been a couple third-party Wolverines that have been teased, as well as the sideshow ones that you could still potentially get your hands on for the $245 range price, I'm pretty confident, which are historically panned a little bit as not being that great of figures. Do you think Hot Toys is setting a new precedent for price in the 1/6 scale market with this $160 release? Do you think that they're trying to bring prices back down on companies? Because keep in mind, they're advertising silicone arms here, and we're going to talk about silicone later with J&D. How can they do this so cheap? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like with Inart and J&D now coming into the ring, and you're talking $300 minimum on a figure, all the way up to $1,200 for a pretty unique pack. Or I think there's talk the J&Ds are going to be like $800 just for one, which is fucking nuts. I feel it's like, well, if these people are doing super expensive figures, let's go the opposite. Let's do something really cheap for the collector. I mean, 160, 3 faceplates, 2 hands, effect pieces, a cool base that we've never seen before. I mean, I've seen actual Hot Toys come with less. So, someone said in the chat, you're not paying a likeness right, which is fair. But I've also paid more for Stormtroopers, clone troopers, by another $100, without a head sculpt.
Mondo plastic ones with joints.
Yeah, this is a completely new, unique figure that Hot Toys has done, right? The bodysuit, the shoulder pads, the banana hammock, all of it's new. All those troopers that I've paid for, they've reused 1,000 fucking times. So it almost begs the question, well, what the fuck are we paying for Hot Toys if you could do this for 160? Like, what is it that we're paying for? It's not a license thing, because this is also a Disney license, right? Marvel and then Star Wars. So it's kind of fucking nuts. Eddie and I were talking about this last night with shout out Jay Feezy. The more you look at this, the better it gets. It's like, and I'm not an X-Men guy at all. But holy shit, like this looks incredible. We were talking, I know it only says that the arms are seamless, but it almost looks like the whole body is seamless. There's some photos where he's kind of crouched over. You don't see anything in the ab. Like, look, there's no cut there in the abs.
Yeah, no.
Unless the suit is just hiding it that well, which you could still usually see articulation and
Yeah, I don't
through
see any
suits.
joints there at all. Yeah.
Even when his knees are bent, you don't really see. Usually, there's like a line where like the actual cut of the articulation is. So it's like if that's not a seamless body, that's a new body we've never seen before. So like I don't know how they're getting it. Either we've been getting ripped off for years, paying way too much for this shit, or
Yeah.
they've figured out a way to, bring the price down incredibly, because you still get a lot for $160. Not a fuck ton, but again, like, how many times have we been saying every time a Hot Toys comes out, it's like, I could do without the electric fucking shit in the box if it brings the price down.
Yeah.
And here we are. So I think this is a win all across the board. Even if it's not a figure for me, I think it's a huge W for everybody.
There's many times where I would say for figures that, like, if the price was right, I would buy it. And like at $160, to me, the price is right. I think that's cool enough, it's low enough for me to be like, hey, you know what? I want to see what this figure feels like in person. Does it still feel like how it's advertised? High quality, right? It says here, high quality. So if you get it in hand and it feels like a cheap piece of junk, people are also going to riot about that a little bit as well. And
Yeah.
Dean, you mentioned, like, have they been kind of just pulling the wool over our eyes for a while? Like, could they actually make these things way cheaper than what we actually pay?
Yeah, because you know that 160, they're all still making profits.
They have to be, right? Like, they wouldn't be able to do
So-
it otherwise, for sure.
Yeah.
Now,
So
Zia,
it costs them even less than that to make it. So
100% do. Now, Zio, what were your thoughts on this? Do you think people should wait to get their, yellow and blue suited Hugh Jackman? Do you think that there's a place still for this one in particular in people's collections? And do you feel like this is kind of highlighting how cheap these things actually could be made? Or do you think they're more like what Austin is saying in the chat, which is trying to get a new level of collector into the market? What are your thoughts there?
First, I want to say that if you do go for the Hugh Jackman Wolverine, we will have GTA 6 to keep us busy by then. Okay. But
Talking
I will,
years away.
that was good. That was good.
but I will add, I will say I agree with and I had been thinking about this because when this figure was first announced, I know that it's still under Hot Toys, but it's not really under Hot Toys technically, right? The branding is under Hano and stuff. And I feel like it made me jump the hype. But then for a second, I looked back once I was like, man, it's not really Hot Toys. I was like, man, how far more advanced is this really for the people that already have the sideshow, and what value does that bring to theirs? If this would consider them to even upgrade their past Wolverine. Now, I will say that this is definitely a competitive price range. I think to have an official marketed figure for that price is attractive to a lot of the Marvel Legend collectors. This is practically a Marvel Legend in many ways. Like, it looks just like the figures do in 112 scale. And me personally, my first figure that I picked up was a 150 priced Hot Toy, and so I picked it up because it was so cheap. I was like, man, 150. I was like, you kidding me? And then to see this at 160 in today's market with a lot of the figures pushing 300, you're getting that scale for half price. It's it's what third party figures are running for right now, and that's what makes it so easy to pick up a third party figure. It's like, oh well, that's actually a decent figure, and it's at 160. Now you have a licensed figure for 160 with the X-Men animated series. Like, this is going to bring in a lot of other collectors, and I'm sure that they're going to have a jump and boost from other scale of collectors as well, because this figure is so cheap. Hasbro has been doing a lot of HasLab pieces, and I know a lot of them have already been investing in higher quality figures. So this is just something to see what they do. I know that they do really strike back on their competition, so I think that this is gonna be good for them to bring in more customers to keep those third party, like So Toys, man. Like, they were killing it with the X-Men with the Gambit, and so now if they drop a Wolverine, whether you want to go the third party route or do you want to go the license route, that'll be quite interesting to see, especially because the price range is very competitive. So um I think that they are trying to get other people in to this line, not just 1/6 collectors, because it's
Well,
so affordable.
You made a good point there too in terms of the third party, because I've even seen third party offerings coming in higher price than this.
Yeah.
So this to me feels like a response from Hot Toys to be like, oh, you're trying to play in our playground? Yeah, okay. Die on this hill. Make it. We dare you to make it, because we'll give you a licensed version that looks almost superior in a lot of ways compared to the competition, and it's licensed. It's got the Hot Toys brand still backing it. They know they're going to have that support, even whether it's new collectors or older school collectors like us here, right? That's an interesting point. Now, Eddie, with regards to this figure, what are your thoughts on the figure itself, the price point, but then what would you also like to see this Hano Toys potentially tackle within comic-inspired lines, if this is the route they're going?
I do like the figure a lot. At first, I was a little skeptical because bad pictures, but I didn't want to give any thoughts because I feel like that's been happening a lot lately. We get these initial teaser pictures and then we end up liking it a lot more once we get the announcement. So I'm glad to see that was the case for this one. I think a lot of people changed their mind. I think it's a stick figure. I love that it's being offered at such a great price, because to me it feels more like a Mezco figure, and a Mezco figure can be more expensive than this at 1/12 scale. Like the
100%.
deluxe Wolverine, I think was close to
Crazier.
this price.
That's
or
true.
more.
That's a good
So
call.
So I think that it's a really good price, and I think you're definitely gonna for sure get those Mezco collectors could be interested in this. So I love it. And then as far as what do I think the future of the line could be, this is something that we were talking about last night, because I was thinking in my head, they're offering, so we've seen comic stuff from Hot Toys, and now they're offering comic stuff at a cheaper price from this studio. Does that mean, since we're getting this Wolverine bare bones, could we possibly see a crazier Wolverine from Hot Toys that's also comic based, that comes with a crazy amount of accessories, more head swap outs and stuff like that, and that this is just purely for people who want the cheapness and the bare bones, and they're still going to offer? Because how can you offer a cheaper price and kind of be your own competitor against your own line? There has to be a reason why, right? So I'm thinking, are they gonna, what is the future for both of those lines? Because we've seen Iron Man and Spider-Man from them in their comic lines. Now we're seeing Wolverine here. So are they gonna continue to do an Iron Man and a Spider-Man in this line that you just get low accessories and it's a cheaper figure, or are they gonna do completely different characters that they haven't done from that line? So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but it's definitely cool, and I hope that they go way. I mean, people have been asking for comic-inspired stuff for a long time, and a lot of people were happy once we finally got it with Hot Toys. But I think they'll be even more happy with this at a more affordable line. So it's crazy. There's a lot of what ifs.
Absolutely, there is. They even teased a Magneto with this. They teased a Thor. I know Thor is big on your list of
Yeah.
characters that you love. Especially like if the arms look anything like this on a Thor,
Yeah.
like that, like the body tile itself could be really, really cool.
Oh, that was
For-
another point that we made last night, because someone mentioned in the chat he needs to be a few inches shorter. I think one of the reasons they can get away with making it so cheap is I think they plan to use this same body for a ton of other characters,
see that.
like Marvel Legends, like Zio said. The reason that they can get away with making so much money in Marvel Legends is because a lot of the times they reuse that mold over and over and over again. So I'm thinking we're gonna see, like you said, Thor, same kind of build. And if they made him accurate to a Wolverine, the body might be 3 inches too short for anything else. So that's why I'm thinking he's more in line with other characters, because they're planning to use this body for a ton of superheroes. So
Definitely. Alvin J sent us another $4.99 super chat. Thank you for your generosity as well, good sir. We always appreciate you here.
No, you complete me.
He says, if the Sideshow version was also $160, which is the better buy? Quick round table. Dean, what do you think?
Well, the Sideshow one didn't even survive their own unboxing without splitting in two, so I wouldn't.
I saw that.
I wouldn't buy that if it was on the best sale in the world. So,
That's fair.
I would go with this.
That's fair. What about you, Joey?
I'd go
Would you
with this one,
do
too.
Sideshow or this one?
No, Sideshow didn't look as good as this one to me.
Okay. Eddie?
Well, it's 100% this one.
Yeah. And Zio?
I mean, I haven't really paid attention to the Sideshow one, but after what Dean said, I'm going with this one. You know, I did like the Sideshow. I heard had like swappable arms though, so that would be cool if they did that for this one, right? But that's as far as I go. This one.
Well, I think they only had swappable arms so that you could pull off a seamless look, but they were they're pre-bent, so like they're not articulated at all.
Yeah.
I almost bought the Sideshow one though about a month ago because I was like, I might miss my opportunity to get this kind of style of Wolverine. I might just buy it. God, I'm kind of happy I didn't, to be honest, because I'd be pissed if I spent, well, American dollars, 245, Canadian, that's pushing 320 on that figure from Sideshow. Like, this cost me 225 all in, and it was like the cheapest NRD I've ever paid. I think it was like a $16 NRD, which is insane. So my answer for you also, Alvin J, would be this one. Now, that's all bearing in mind that none of us here on the panel or in existence have had this actually in hand yet. So while it says that it's high quality, so Sideshow deemed theirs high quality too, and what, like Dean just said, pulling out of the box, they practically broke it in half. Also, the claws typically fell out of that one, like the adamantium claws wouldn't stay in. This doesn't look like it's that much different though, potentially, of a mechanism where the square looks like it potentially pegs into the back of the hand. So hopefully it has a better hold than the Sideshow one did. But for now, based on just the look of the character alone, I would say this one. I asked the chat here also, guys. I had asked, what other characters do you all want to see? I did get some answers here. So X-Men says Psylocke, Jean Grey, Sabretooth, Colossus, Beast, Jubilee, basically all of the X-Men. I would really like to see a Hulk. I never totally liked the MCU Hulk that has the jointed arms, or the seams at the arm joints. I have the same issue with my Venom figure. If they could do a seamless body for a Hulk and make him, you could do the red Hulk, you could do the gray Hulk, the green Hulk, like there's some really cool Hulks that you could potentially do, as well as just a shocking amount of characters. If the price point was better too, oh man, I could blow out people's collections entirely. Batman the Animated Series, I love like to death. Even He-Man, like Mondo's been doing He-Man, but again, like if you're going to start playing in that court, there's a lot of competition that's out there. So guys, I want to move on because we still have a few more things to talk about, but great discussion here. Thanks for participating in the chat, everybody there as well. I wanted to go next to Mars Toys, because Mars Toys last week did give us a teaser image of their penguin, their 66 penguin that's on the way. And obviously they were pretty proud of this image because they shared it immediately. And then just like collectors do, we all typically have a bit of an opinion as to the likeness of the actor. So I did put a side-by-side likeness of the actor from the show up against the figure itself. Now, the great thing about Mars Toys, in my opinion, is Mars immediately said, we put up a post and said, we hear you. It's still a work in progress. Thanks for your feedback, which I think is absolutely the right response. To me, that makes for an excellent company, because we all know that we can share our opinions and that at least we're heard. Nobody likes to not be heard. 66 Batman is not my Batman. I've enjoyed the show. My younger brother actually likes it more than I do, which I think is kind of funny. But I didn't think the likeness was that bad. I still don't even think it's that bad. I think that there could be some tweaks to the actor. But overall, I think it's pretty good. Mars Toys gave us that prankster villain earlier in the year, which I think is going to win some crazy amounts of awards this year in terms of amazing third-party figure. I know it's on our Collecting Weekly Award show this coming Tuesday, Dean, so we'll talk a little bit more about that this Tuesday. But Dean, I'll start with you. Any thoughts on the Mars Toys penguin here? What are your thoughts on the likeness and their response?
I don't have the eye for this. Just looking at the side by side, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen some pretty awful things in 6 scale collecting. This is not anywhere close to the top. So I feel like if it's something you're super passionate about, I'm sure there's definitely nitpicks you could, I would say maybe like the nose is too wide. But that could also just be the angle of like the photo on the right. He's looking more straight on instead of down. But yeah, maybe he's not like pudgy enough.
Yeah.
But like that's about it. Like I think Mars Toys does pretty good. They've had some slip ups, but they've usually rectified their mistakes. And this is a prototype, so there's a chance it could get better. So, yeah, I'm with you. I didn't grow up watching this. I never went backwards to watch it. I'm familiar enough with it, but to me it looks fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And thanks for the take either way. I think, 66 is going back a really, really long time now. But of course, there are collectors out there that absolutely love it. Yeah, right. But there's collectors out there that have been waiting for these, right? And, with the Jazz Inc. vehicle that came out this past year, which was amazing, we saw, it wasn't Star, I want to say Star Ace, but it was, what the hell? Saturn Toys, apologies. Saturn Toys, I think another division of Mars came out with their dynamic duo, the Batman and Robin. They're clearly giving us a lot of this line, and I think it's about time, to be honest, to put it in the collector's collections that want this lineup. Anybody else on the panel have a feeling or thoughts on this particular Penguin? Again, to me, I don't think it's bad, but if they're tweaking it and they've announced that they're tweaking it, I think for now, that's good enough for me. Anybody else here? What are your thoughts?
I'm a little curious about how the umbrella is going to work. I don't think I've ever seen a 1/6 umbrella. That looks pretty cool. I wonder if you could actually like make it go in, or I haven't seen many of these pictures, but that looks really interesting to see if it can actually go in like a real umbrella. Like, you have those little umbrellas you get in the drink that kind of go in as well. I would think maybe this works, but the color kind of looks different from the one that is actually folded in. There's the last picture had it folded in. And it looks the color looks a little off, so it might just be a separate piece.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the color does look a little off even from the image, but again, that could just be a difference of film grain versus a camera picture, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I thought
so
that was
the color that I'm worried about.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah, maybe it does go in. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it'll be cool. The umbrella is a good call. I think that there should be like a 6 Scales accessory company out there, right?
Yeah.
Just a company that literally just makes things to add to people's collections. I think that would be really, really cool. Things like umbrellas, couches, chairs, thrones, like all of the things that you'd want to pair with your figures, right? So, cool, guys. Let's move on. But I love all the chats here. X-Men Supreme saying, I imagine that the 66 Batman is hard for people to watch who don't have the nostalgia for it. It's not a great show, but it's a phenomenal show at the same time. I know that doesn't make sense. I hear what you're saying there. Again, my brother is a huge fan of it. I find it to be a little campy, but I still kind of find it entertaining. So it's like, I get that feeling. Speaking of Batman, though, this popped up here called the Dark Hero this week. And like most of you are aware, I'm a huge Batman the Animated Series fan. The Mondo Toys ones, I've got the Joker and the Batman on the way, so I'm excited to have those. Above me, unfortunately, you guys can't see it, but I've got about 15 different Batman the Animated Series 7-inch scale figures that I absolutely love. For 6 scale, I like the fact that, unlike Mondo here, this offering and the Superman we saw a couple weeks ago don't have any visible joints. The sculpt for me isn't quite the Bruce Wayne sculpt that I would look for, but I don't think it's necessarily bad either. We don't know what the price point of this, I don't think, yet is, so that'll remain to be seen. Hopefully it's less than 160. If Hot Toys and Hono can give us that Wolverine for 160, that again sets the benchmark of price that I'm willing to pay to just slip something in my collection there. Sounds dirty. But Dean, I know you're not a huge Batman fan, but you've been starting to love it a little bit more lately, and you did seem to like that Superman that we talked about on Collecting Weekly a few weeks ago. What are your thoughts on this Batman?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I did grow up watching this. I am vengeance. I am the night. I liked it, enough. I never, I don't know. I just never like fell in love with Batman. It was just like, oh, there's a cartoon on TV. I'll watch it. I'm turning around slowly on Batman, slowly but surely. But this is cool. I like this a lot. I really like the ones. Were they also Mondo, or who did those?
Mondo Toys did their
It was
Batman the
Mondo.
Animated Series. Yeah. The 6
But,
scale.
a lot of people didn't like the articulation, look to them, which I get.
Well, because they looked almost identical to the 7-inch counterparts, like
Yeah,
almost
I mean,
identical.
Nailed it. But those figures have like a really big problem standing up.
Yes, they do.
Which I feel like this one might also, because the feet look very small as well. But you get the added bonus of the suit, the bodysuit. So it gets rid of that articulation. So if you just like really love that like silhouette of Batman, I think they're nailing it. I think this looks great. Tons of accessories, different face options, unmasked portrait as well. I mean, this thing is packed. So I like it. I like it a lot.
For me, one of the things that's missing from this release that I really love, Zio, is on the Mondo toys, there's that cell shading, right? It looks like it's from the animated series. This to me looks a little bit more like Batman the New Adventures because it's all black. Unlike the Batman the Animated Series, the first 2 seasons, that had more of like a blue and black cell shading, which I really truly love. To me, that feels more classic to the animated series. This being the New Adventures, don't hate it, don't love it necessarily. It does tickle the sweet spot a little bit, but not quite nailing it for me. What are your thoughts on this, even in comparison to what we've seen with Mondo or just in general with regards to this Batman?
So I'm a huge animated series as well. That was my first kind of line that I was collecting back when I was collecting 112, the DC Collectibles one. So I'm a huge fan of them. Now, I wasn't in on this company here when I saw the Superman because I felt like the Superman head sculpt didn't match the neck portion of the body. And so I was a little bit concerned. But when I saw this figure, it made me wonder if they were going to go the New Adventures or if they were going to go Justice League route. But I will say that I was going to pull the trigger on this until I saw So Tease theirs. And so I kind of pulled the plug there. I think it looks fantastic. I love how the body looks. It has that little triangular, aesthetic body that they had in the animated series, which is pretty cool. And the amount of accessories for this is practically what we used to get with those DC collectible figures, which are pretty cool, pretty neat to have all that. But I will say that I'm gonna wait on this
Like
figure.
the expression, I think those
The
stack,
expressions, the weapons. Well, not the weapons, his like grapple and stuff. But I will say that this is one of those figures that I need to see in hand, like in hand pictures of, before I can pull the trigger on. I do like Mondo. When I started collecting 1/6 scale, I went more of the realistic feel to it, and I do wish that they would have done a cloth figure. I heard that this company was gonna make an animated series figure. I don't know if they are, but I do like the blue cape on the animated series, and the hue, the little hue that they have on the paint is pretty cool. I think that would be kind of difficult to do in cloth form. I don't know. I haven't seen it done before, so I think that'd be a little bit tough for them to knock off. But it's pretty
Definitely.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but I'm
the
waiting
cell
for.
shading. It's that blue cell shading that I was saying there that I kind
Yeah.
of Azio. Like to me,
Yeah.
that really screams animated series. The
Yeah.
So one may also be a pretty sizable contender, but again, though,
Yeah.
like we don't know what this Hano toys might be able to offer us down the line. If
That's
they
that's
do,
another issue
right?
there because now you gotta. I mean, this is one of those figures that I don't mind having two, and once I get the better one, I'll sell the other one, right? Like especially if they're at a cheaper price point, it's not a bad thing. But yeah, it's
Absolutely.
gonna suck having to get 4 Batmans and finding the definitive animated series one.
Yeah, that's oh my god. What
Yeah,
about you? What about you, Joey? What do you think is kind of the definitive Batman the Animated Series figure to have at this point in 6 scale from what you've kind of seen with Mondo, So, these guys here? What are your thoughts?
Shoot, I can't. I don't know how much I could say on this. I mean, I did watch it back in the day.
Sure.
But I mean, this one looks pretty cool. But I will say that one that you showed right before this, I do like the emblem on the chest a little bit more. The classic Batman black and yellow emblem really gets me. But those joints, like y'all said, I wonder if you get. So this is 1/6 scale too, right? So I wonder if you could get the. There's like that robe around him I saw on the one before that. I wonder if you have this one. If you could put that same robe on it so you can hide it kind of in the head. I don't know.
Kind of.
I don't know
have them,
much about the
darkened in
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you switch the accessories and put like accessories from this one on that one. I think that would be kind of cool, so you can hide the joints with that type of cape or whatever he has on him. I like you
That'd
can
be cool.
have it all
From
around here.
From my recollection, the Mondo one's like the cape there is pretty much glued right into the
Oh,
figure.
it
So you'd have
is.
to,
Oh,
you'd have
okay.
to basically cut it out, I think, in order to actually do it. Unfortunately, but yeah.
I like the head sculpt. What was the robot? I remember that one too. The robot head sculpt. What was the name of the villain that it was? Wasn't it a villain? I see the
It
head
was.
sculpt right
Yeah,
there.
it was.
Yeah.
Cyborg Batman or something along those lines.
Okay.
It was,
yeah. I have a Funko Pop of that one. That's why I
Hardak.
remember that one so much.
Hardak.
Okay. Yeah, I like that though. I like that. I like this one a little bit more, I guess, even though it shows the joints. But I'd probably go with this one if anything. I don't know. It's so hard because the other one has more accessories. So
Yeah.
that
But that's
one
why I
has
say
more
this is
accessories.
why I said this is clear more like the New Adventures look. That's when they took a lot of like the color grading that they used in Batman the Animated Series, the first 2 seasons, where you got a chance to
Okay.
see blues and yellows and all of that,
Yeah.
like you see with this, and they switched the character models to being really like muted and dark, and even Poison Ivy, she looks kind of dead in comparison to her very lively like green and like red hair from the first 2 seasons. They muted her skin and everything. Like, it was a very different art style direction change, but it was also cheaper to produce, and so that was the reason. So when I see this color model, I go cheaper to produce, and just in my brain, right? So but no, all great thoughts there, guys. I want to move on. Eddie, I'm going to start with you first on this next one here, because we're running out of time today. Peacemaker, the head sculpt specifically from Present Toys has been shown. And of course, Peacemaker came out this year. In my opinion, from Hot Toys, one of the best figures of the year. I absolutely love it. But classically, that figure came with a helmeted version. It did not come with just a John Cena head sculpt specifically. And honestly, in the show, he's helmetless quite a lot. So what are your thoughts on this John Cena head sculpt? Likeness-wise, paint-wise, is this something that you think collectors should try and get in their collections for their Peacemaker figure?
I 100% think that anybody that has a Peacemaker should get it because it's a great price. I think it was super well sculpted. I don't know who the sculptor is, but I don't remember who posted either. It might have been the sculptor or someone else, but they posted the actual sculpt, like in the gray version before it's all painted and everything, like the first one he did, and it looks even better. So I'm like, dang, this guy nailed John Cena. But yeah, part of the reason I didn't initially pre-order the Peacemaker is because it didn't come with the head sculpt, and I thought I think I'd like to pose in more with the head sculpt than I would with the helmet on. So. But now that it's come out and it's sold out, I'm on the wait list, and I'm like, dude, that figure really came out well. I really want it, and this would take it to the next level for me. So I'm tempted to get the head sculpt, even without having the figure, just in the hopes that I'll be able to secure the figure later on. Like, I'm sure there's somewhere you could find it. I haven't, like, dug that deep into it because I've been buying a lot of other stuff lately, and I'm like, it's too much, honestly. But someday I hope to pick it up, and I think this would be sick to go with it, dude. The only thing is I wish they did more expressions and stuff. Like, if you could get more even down the line would be cool. But I think this is enough to take it to the next level.
Absolutely. I was just trying to find the price here for it.
It's
Looks like it was $45 on 1/6 kit USD.
Yeah,
It's cheap.
So that's
yeah, it's
super
good,
cheap.
man.
Not
Yeah,
bad at all.
$45. That's pretty crazy. This would definitely be something that I would like to add to my Peacemaker if I can get in on the. I did put myself on the wait list as well, so we'll see. I think it's funny that they called it the male head sculpt.
Shout out Joey. I think you could use his code and get it for even cheaper.
Yeah,
right?
$10 off. Yeah,
Yeah.
collector day.
Wow.
Use it.
Practically giving it away at that point. What about you, Joey? Since we're on you, what do you think of Peacemaker here, the male head sculpt?
I think it looks so good. If I had a Peacemaker, I would be totally in on this. It looks so good. I wonder if they like got the Hot Toy one, took off the helmet and everything, and then just like put molding in between, like where, because you on the Hot Toy one you basically have everything, but just a few spots or a little you just need to fill them in, basically. I wonder if they did that with this, because I know they usually cast the Hot Toys one sometimes if they're gonna redo a head sculpt. So I wonder if they like just had to fill it in a little bit, and you had this one, and which would be so much easier for them to do than to make a whole head sculpt. And this one's pretty accurate. It's like I would say 90% there. Wouldn't y'all agree? 90% at least, 85.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
good.
that's I think this is a good idea if you have I'd be totally on this if I had the Peacemaker.
Yeah, especially at a bit of a distance, right? Because I think the big thing, 1/6 scale is something that most of us look at really closely when we first take it out of the box and we first put it in our collection. We're standing, this close to it, like, wow, that looks amazing. And then for the most part, you stand at least 3 or 4 feet away from the majority of your collection when you're looking at it. And that's when I think a lot of sculpts shine for me. Yesterday, I got the T800 MMS 117 Terminator in my collection. And up close, the Arnold Schwarzenegger head isn't like amazing. I would give it like a 7.5. At a distance though, when I'm walking into my collection room, I'm like, and with the glasses on, like, damn, I've got Terminator in the collection. Like, it's so cool. This would be, I think, the same feel.
I'm just hoping that the neck goes in like correctly, or
Deep
is
enough?
it like if it looks right, because I got like a body and suit and put the Bruce Wayne head sculpt on and it didn't look too good. So I'm hoping like the ring around where his neck is, I'm hoping it looks like this whenever you have it in hand, like not so much space between the collar and his neck. Sometimes that could be an issue too. I've seen a few people like do custom head sculpts for this one, and the neck just looks so small inside of it. So I don't know.
True, yeah.
Maybe-
You wouldn't want to give him like the shrunken head sculpt guy, like the Beetlejuice head, right? Like,
Yeah, I hope they have their
I'm looking back at my Peacemaker here because I'm like,
Yeah.
is there much of a gap between? And like, there's a bit of a gap, but
Is
you're
there?
right. This
Yeah.
does look like a little bit more of a gap
Little
than
bit
what's
more.
there. A little bit more. But obviously, like you said, it can't be a recast because this head sculpt doesn't actually exist either anywhere else. But I would say they must have piloted this on the Hot Toys body if they're selling it as just a head sculpt. They have to
what I
be
was thinking.
feeling confident that it's going to look pretty good. What about you, Zio? What are your thoughts on Peacemaker's head here?
I think it's cool, man. I don't have the Peacemaker. I think that it's a lot of people have told me that they kind of got tired of just having the helmeted look that do own the Peacemaker. So it's nice for the collectors to have this opportunity. So this was an easy, like, easy, quick buck for a company to just pick up, finish the mold, or do whatever they needed to do, just to make some money, man. Because I know a lot of collectors will pick this up, man, 100%. So, but yeah, that's about as far as I can add, just because I don't have the actual piece.
Absolutely.
It looks good, man. Great sculpt, Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get it. 14 Wellington in the chat says no love for the Peacemaker mouth piece with his tongue out. I have actually not displayed it once that way. Yeah, it's just a little too weird for me, but I think it's kind of a cool inclusion, and I never thought I'd have a 6-scale tongue just floating around my accessories tackle box. So that's an odd thing as well. And Yomo says here, did another company tease Peacemaker sculpt recently? I thought I saw another one being worked on, but I could be wrong. You may have seen v.collectibles on Instagram. They typically do quite a bit of their own sculpting there, and some of their sculpt work is amazing. I feel like I've seen a John Cena sculpt on their Instagram page. That's v.collectibles.
It could be the one I was talking about too, because it was in gray format and it had the neck attached still, and it was just the sculptor teasing that he had worked on this one.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Any thoughts? Did I get your thought? I didn't get your thoughts on this, Dean, in terms of John Cena's likeness, or what are your thoughts with regards to Peacemaker there?
I love the Peacemaker show. I was really tempted by the figure. It came out so good. Unfortunately, I think by the time it came out, it was already gone. So I missed the boat on that, which kind of sucks. But I also like, I could not have Peacemaker in my collection without, what's his friend's name? I always forget it. Vigilante.
Vigilante, yeah.
Vigilante.
So I think I like Vigilante more than everybody else on this show. So fun.
Dude, the part when he's making the expressions, he's like, if I change my facial expression, you'll never be able to make out my actual face details. That was hilarious, dude.
Oh god, I love that character so much. I think that was kind of why I was hesitant to order Peacemaker, because I was like, well, he's not really going to go with anything else in my collection. I know that you could put him in like a Suicide Squad stuff, but I don't have any of that. That being said, it needed a head sculpt, and this head sculpt is pretty good. And just based on these photos, right? In hand, it might not look that good. Does it say when it's coming out?
No, I don't think so. Not yet. Anyways, let me see.
Has Prison Toys ever just done head sculpts? It's weird that it's not like a whole figure, right?
Cutoff is January 7th, 2024. It says under Kit's website, it says available in Q1 to Q2 of 2024. So pretty
Okay,
quick,
so it's coming out
sounds
pretty
like.
soon. So
Yeah.
maybe it will look like this.
Right.
Yeah, I've never really seen Prison Toys just do head sculpts, I don't think. Usually, like I said, it's usually whole
Think of any
figures.
either offhand.
So that's interesting. They're filling that market want and need. So it's cool to see. Like I said, I would. Somebody said like an 80 or 90% likeness. That's fair. Which is, that's all you need. So I like it. It's pretty solid.
Absolutely. Guys, let's move on because we got a few more pieces of news here before our final topic of today. The Spider-Man, comic-inspired Spider-Man, actually is already coming out into people's collections. I feel like over the last 3 weeks, all we've done is talk about this figure because it went from being a kind of a weird spoiler image that nobody really knew if it was even real news at first to here's a couple blogger photos. So yeah, it's real for sure. And then boom, all of a sudden people are getting it in their collections already. So that blew me away. I did think some of the final images won me over a little bit, I will say. At first, I ragged on it a little bit. It felt to me like a kind of a mishmash of several different Spider-Men, and I thought that was a weird choice. Turns out that's actually a purposeful choice based on what I'm now seeing from these blogger photos. They actually want you to be able to fit it in with some of your favorite comic book inspired Spider-Man. So to me, that actually made it kind of cooler. And there's that 2,000 limit on there as well. So not only is it a unique option, but it's also going to be a limited option from the sounds of it. So it has changed my opinion on it a little bit. However, I don't think at this point it would be one that I'm going to try and get in the queue for by any stretch. I don't know when that queue is available or if it's already come and gone at this point, but I'd love to hear from you, Joey. What were your final thoughts on this now coming into people's collection and now that you're getting a chance to see more photos of it?
I think they really did good with the. It looked like more of a cloth material. I like that. I like how you'll be able to pose it easier, I guess, without worrying if it's just gonna be bent and all scrunched up after you pose it. I know it goes back, but if you have cloth, it goes back a little bit faster. I like that. The chrome eyes did scare me at first. Like I did a whole 180. I believe we were on Collecting Weekly whenever it got like leaked or whatever, and we were like, what the heck? But then whenever you see it, announced in all the pictures, kind of changes your mind a little bit. And yeah, I did like a whole 180 on this. I got an RSVP. I just think it looks really, really cool. I don't have any classic suit Spider-Man, so I think this would be something really cool to have in the collection, especially with that camera too. I really love photography, so Spider-Man with the camera is amazing. And I like the picture where he has the camera taking a picture of the little Green Goblin. I think that was really cool. It's kind of like how we take pictures of 1/6 figures, because it's kind of a 1/6 figure in his hand. So I think that's really cool.
That's a good
This is a nice collection. Yeah, a nice addition to a collection. And the eyes are really cool as well.
Absolutely. Zio, I thought the eyes popped out a little bit weird on this figure, to be honest. Unlike some of the other Spider-Man I've had, I felt like they were a little more inset, whereas they feel a little more bubbled on this figure, but maybe that's just kind of the perspective. I do really like the big, I want to call them white lenses. They're not 100% as white as I think I would like. I saw Collector Joey, your video of you modding your Amazing Spider-Man figure to the white eyes, and I thought that was like impressive as hell. I thought that looked so much better. But Zio, what are your thoughts on the eyepieces here or this figure overall now that people are actually getting it in the collection?
I do agree with you on the fact that I feel like the eyes are a little bit more opaque than I wish. And I think it's also part of the fact that they have that pattern. I bought that third-party head sculpt for my classic suit Spidey, and that one really does have like full white eyes on him. So that was the only thing that I did that I did see. Also, the neck kind of bothers me a little bit. It kind of bunches up a little bit there, but I do want this figure as a huge 90s animated series fan to go along with the Batman and the X-Men series from that time. This was like a must for me. I do think that the fact that it's limited brought me more into getting it because I feel like if this was a figure that they announced and they were like, "Oh, you can get it," I could have probably waited a little bit to pull the trigger on it. But I will say that it is pretty cool, man. I do like the reflective lenses a lot, actually. For the part that in the animated series it reflected the villains in the intro, and you can see that how they did that here with the Green Goblin. So that was pretty cool. Makes me want to pick up more little mini villains and just put them next to his eyes, and then take some pictures like that. So that'll be fun to do when I actually, if I do get him from the queue. If not, we'll see. I don't know if I'll really go after him if I miss out on the queue because he might be a little bit more expensive than I want to spend on a figure that it's not too far different from my classic suit Spidey that I already have.
Well, and once again, right, I think, Noble Young kind of nails it here. Man, this thing should have been the Honos price. That's going to
Yeah.
be in people's heads now all the time. Like, in a way, I feel like Hot Toys kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit with the Hono brand, because while I do like the price accessibility of that figure, now we're going to compare every comic likeness figure to that possible price point. Like, why is this then so much more expensive? It really poses a question that I don't think that they wanted people to actually ask, unfortunately. So good call on that one, Noble Young. Eddie, I know you've chatted a lot about this figure. I know, Dean, you've chatted a lot about this figure. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic here?
The that neck switch out thing, I finally got my Amazing Spider-Man. That bugs the shit out of me. It falls off every time he pulls it, man. I gotta pose it and then put that thing back on. But other than that, that's the only thing that bugs me about the way the figure is made. I think it's sick. I agree with you about the bubbly eyes. The only thing I don't see it on is the really wide eyes, which is what I'm gonna use anyway. So I love it. I'm hoping I'll get it. I've never really tried to go for one of those limited figures, so this will be my first shot. So I'm hoping I get lucky. But yeah, I think it's sick, dude.
Absolutely. Anything final thoughts there, Dean, before we move on for this guy, buddy?
No, not for me.
No. Do you feel like this is still an entry-level figure?
No.
No.
I guess just because it's so limited, that's definitely not. Because you gotta, I mean, entry level is like, you could just go and order it. If you have to know where to be, know that you need to RSVP. There were collectors that didn't RSVP and got to the end of the line and couldn't buy it because they didn't RSVP. So do not forget to RSVP if you guys want to order this figure. For the love
That's
of
fair.
God.
RSVP. Good call, actually.
Yeah, so there's a lot of hurdles to jump through just to even be able to get this. And then are you even going to get it? So definitely not entry level at all. But it looks cool.
Absolutely,
That's the
man.
nicest thing I could say about it.
No, I'm glad you mentioned the like the reserve thing there, like the RSVP, because I think that's a very important note. If this is something you want, make sure you get yourself on that list. You don't want to miss it because of that reason. That would really, really suck. But
Tons of people were trying to get Anakin and got to the pay screen, and it was like, well, you didn't RSVP, and they got kicked out. So do not.
Yeah, that's
forget
fair. I do think the material on the outfit also looks better than what we've seen, at least from the classic suit. While I do like the classic suit, it does feel a little hard to pose. I held that one in hand at the local comic book store because I was trying to decide if I wanted to buy it or not, and I was like, "Oh man, this is going to be a museum pose Spider-Man," which is very strange.
Yeah, this reminds me of the original Spider-Man 2 figure, the what's his name, Andrew Garfield one, where it was like the blue in the suit was kind of textured, but it still posed really well, and the red was just straight cloth, and I had no problems posing that figure. I thought it was fantastic. I don't know if the new one is like that, but yeah, this looks like it'll be way more fun to pose around and be more forgiving on the poses.
Heck yeah, buddy. Heck yeah. Well said, everybody. Thank you so much for your takes there. We've got 2 more pieces of entertainment news today, or I should say figure news before the end of the show, but we have just under 50 people watching live. Thank you guys for being nuts with us here on Sunday. We definitely appreciate you. If you have not had an opportunity, if you're just kind of new to YouTube and you don't know who some of the folks are below me, make sure you go to their individual channels after the show and subscribe to these guys as well. They are caring individuals who take the time out of their day to chat with me and chat with all of us, and I appreciate the heck out of it. If you guys can hit the like button to drive some traffic to the show also, it always helps. So thank you. Some presumptive likes. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it today so far as much as I am. Guys, we often talk a lot about controlling the message. I especially talk a lot about that with Marco over at 16Fix there, because he's all about controlling the message. And in the past week, we saw 2 images from the Hot Toys Artisan Joker. The first was at a pop-up store that showed the Joker picture on the left. And, you know, of course, in Joker fashion, everybody started losing their minds because that's not a cheap figure. People have been waiting to see what this might actually look like. And while I would say that the solicitation images originally of the Joker had some crazier hair than I think the InArt gave us for their Rooted 2-pack, it still looked pretty good. And then we saw this image of Joker on the left, and it was like, ooh, I don't know, like, that doesn't look so great. The hair looks a little frizzy. What's going on? Is this what we can expect kind of out of the box? Has this been dropped and reposed? Is there somebody out there that's just not really great at posing their figures that got their hands on this just to put it on display? Like, it posed more questions than it answered, for sure. And then later in the week, we got a chance to see a more official photo of the Joker on the right, where you can see that the tailoring is a little tighter on the body. It looks like it's posed a little nicer. The hair is definitely a little bit more futzed and looks better. But my question for you, Joey, is, do either of these pictures make you concerned about the Artisan Joker? Or do you feel like, again, this is just a case of you need to wait until you get it in hand before you really know?
I think that for the Wonder Woman, they had the same problem where her hair looked kind of messed up, like in their promo settings and stuff like this. But then whenever you got her in hand, I believe it was much better. So the hair is always going to be thicker than it needs to be, because I don't know why, you could see it there, and his hair was very thin. But the way they styled, the one to the right just looks way better, but I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think Hot Toys will nail it still. They know, they hear us and everything like that. And I think it's just going to look, I think the one on the right looks pretty good. It's not 100% there, but the one on the left, I was laughing when he said they dropped it because it looks like they did. And it like fell straight on his head. And oops, and they just put it back. I was like, what?
Back up.
Yeah.
Well, and Anakin came up at the same time, right? Anakin, we saw at the pop-up booth. He looks like he just rolled out of bed. Like his outfit is like, his jacket's kind of like, or his robe is kind of like hanging off his shoulder in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, we got the more official picture on the right, which I'd say looks a lot more like what was solicited to us, for sure. Yeah. So same kind of feeling, there. Zia, what do you think about controlling the message when it comes to these premium releases? We got to remember that, like, the Artisan line, at least from what I can tell, is the response to InArt from Hot Toys, right? You want to do rooted hair, we're going to try and do it too, and we're going to try and do it at least as good, if not better. But then we see some images like this, and it's kind of like, I don't know if that is any better or worse. It's hard to know, and it makes me kind of feel worried. What are your thoughts on those?
I mean, it's tricky, right? Because then you see this figure the way that they presented it, and sometimes I wonder if they do that on purpose, just to make you, like, to show a difference. I don't know. Like, sometimes I wonder if they do it to, make you feel like, oh man, it looks like crap, and then they comb the hair and it's like, oh wow, like it actually looks pretty good. So I don't know if they do that on purpose or not. It would be hilarious if they
trolling their own.
Yeah, like I don't know. But it honestly, they do have they do need to really make sure that they execute with this line, because this is what's really their statement piece, right? This is what they're saying is the best in there. This is not the entry level Wolverine, right? This is top tier here. So you really have to make sure that you send that message and you nail this piece. And I think that it looks good. I have this one on pre-order. I'm looking forward to it. I've had a lot of people tell me that even though they had the older one, it was still pretty good for what it was at the time period and whatnot. So I don't, I have, you know, I just stay positive and like, hope that it comes out good. And if not, then oh well, right? I can't wait, and be thinking negative things the whole way because we don't know what it's gonna look like when it's finally in your hand. It goes for any company, right? They could have some hit or miss figures every now and then. So we'll see when it gets here. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Hopefully they do come forward and they step up their game and they can, put up a little fight to Inart and not let them have all the glory and being the more premium until J&D comes out.
Until J&D comes out. Yeah, I think, and it's funny you mentioned that because I was literally just going to pull the slide up for our final topic of the day because, we're talking about controlling the message from Hot Toys perspective. And like we talked about, the response to Inart from Hot Toys is the Artisan line. But now J&D is also throwing their hat in the ring with another Heath Ledger Joker. And to me, it feels like a little crazy at first because I was like, I think just like the rest of us, why another Joker? When I pull up my slide of the Jokers here, Zio, you mentioned the old Joker. So I assume you're probably talking about the DX11 Joker. I have the DX11 Joker. That's the picture that you see on the left-hand side there. He came with 2 sculpts at the time. It was a sculpted hair at the time, but he came with his laughing sculpt, which for me is like, it's the Joker. He's always laughing. How is it possible that Inart gave us 2 sculpts that look pretty damn close to the same? Like, if you don't have them directly side by side, it's actually really hard to tell the difference between the 2 of them. And then Hot Toys responds, and they give us a Hot Toys version from the Artisan line and sculpted that doesn't have a laughing sculpt. And now J&D has come out, and you can see the J&D spoiler image there on the bottom right hand of this slide from the side profile. And from all of the Jokers that I see on my screen, I do feel like if I had to classify just based on a gut check and what I can see on the screen, I still think that J&D may actually take the likeness win here for Heath. It does look really, really good from the side. I would say Inart is probably kind of a second, and Hot Toys may be in third place. But I want to take a quick look here first at the video that J&D provided us from Kojin, because, of course, we've talked a little bit about new technology, we've talked a little bit about innovations, and this is this first patented technology that they're looking at giving us, where you actually have a skeleton under the head sculpt, which at first people are like, why would anybody need that? But I would say there's probably a few reasons. Obviously, if it's a silicone head over top, there needs to be some level of supporting structure under in order to have articulation actually stay, right? It can't just be silicone because there'd be nowhere for it to go. So I would imagine that the neck joint and the head underneath helps to actually give it its articulation. We get these rolling eyeballs with the magnetic rollers, which I know Inart had thought about doing with their Gandalf and then kind of backtracked on that and actually took that technology away. I do think it looks like nightmare fuel, to be honest, a little creepy. But Dean, I want to go to you first. With J&D throwing their hat in the ring here, what are your thoughts on them, A, doing another Joker? Why do you think that they chose the Joker first? But do you think that the innovations here that we're seeing, or these kind of next level of technology and 6 scale, is worth the potential dollars we're going to talk about here in a few minutes?
Yeah, I think the reason they went with the Joker first is the 2 big companies have theirs, right? Hot Toys has multiple, but right, the Artisan, Inart has theirs. So to really show off that they are better, it's got to be something you could directly compare, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's why they did the Joker, which is very annoying because dear fucking Lord, I'm so sick of talking about this character, dude.
That's fair.
But I get it. If that's the reason why, I really can't imagine another reason. Like, I just don't think the world needs another 6 scale Joker. Like, it just doesn't. Like, but whatever. It looks cool. Like, objectively, like that looks cool. Like seamless wrists and fingers, and I wonder how like actual like the actual engineering behind the fingers, because if it's just bendy wires, you're gonna have fucking figures on your shelf that look like this, like they have RA, you know? It's like, dear Lord, that looks terrible. Because here, you know, he just kind of does some like very like slight bending, and it you know, it looks like they're not all over the place, but you know, who knows. The magnetic eyes thing I think is brilliant. I like that a lot. Because the Hot Toys ones, the PERS system or whatever the fuck they call it now, it all it either usually breaks or like your eyes are all over the place. They look all fucking all look in different directions. So I feel like you could have a little bit better control with a magnet and then move from eye to eye and have them look, you know, somewhat not cross-eyed. So that's cool. I really like that.
Well, and not necessarily have to, like, one of the things I didn't like about my in art was that I had to take the back of the head off, which then disrupts these, like, the rooted hair piece, right? You're kind of messing with that a little bit just to change the position of the eyes. So, like, for me, I typically, like, will change them once, get them to kind of like an eye scheme that I think I like, and then just pretty much never touch it again. So it's like, it's a nice to have, but it's not a function that I use, whereas this actually seems like this might actually be a more usable function.
Yeah. Also, for the Joker, he's got a lot of layers, right? He's got the undershirt, the vest, the coat, and then the jacket, and then the coat, the overcoat. Do you really need all that seamlessness if you're never gonna see it with all those fucking layers? I don't think so. I think this is a horrible first figure to really to showcase what you're offering. You're covering half of it, so.
I have a feeling that the body underneath it won't be seamless, though.
It doesn't look like it. It looks like
the wrists and the neck.
Yeah, just like the chest pegs into.
Yeah.
Because it comes down like this, but you can see the point when it has the clear sculpt. There's a peg all the way up in there, and then like you said, like the forearms probably plug up, but it's like again like. He's got so many layers, you're never seeing any of that stuff.
Right. Now, before I go to Joey, Dean, the price speculation, and this came from Big Bretta, so shout out to Big Bretta over on his YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to Bretta if you get an opportunity. Awesome content with him over there. He mentioned that there is the rumored price of a single figure being in the $800 range with one head sculpt. A second head sculpt with the figure, hopefully a laughing sculpt, again, kind of like to my point earlier with the Joker. So we haven't seen what that would look like yet, but cross your fingers, it's a sculpted, or I should say a laughing sculpt. $1,200 for that, potentially. And then if you really like that Type C version that comes with the movable hands, that articulated fingers, everything we were just looking at there, the rumored price is $1,700 US, which is, I mean, that's getting into statue pricing. That's getting into
it's past statue pricing,
right? That's getting into a realm of collecting that, like, I never envisioned 6-scale collecting ever getting to. Honestly, it seems unfathomable. We often talk about, like, is bigger better, right? You know, for your dollar amount, would you rather have a quarter scale or at least a 1/3 scale for similar price points? 1/6 scale, like we talked about earlier, when you look at it from 4 feet away, they kind of just, you lose some of that detail, right? What are your thoughts on the pricing structure of that?
That's bananas. I could see maybe the argument for the in art. You're getting premium materials, right? Like even the jail cell was metal, right? The bench, the weapons, diecast. But you could also get diecast weapons in like a Damn Toys figure for, you know, $200. So, but it's like, okay, they engineered it, they made it. It's a beautiful display in a box. For how much was the rooted 2-pack?
It was $1,199, I think.
Yeah, $1,100.
Yeah.
It's got the rooted hair. Rooted hair historically has been very expensive to get someone who knows how to do it properly and it to look good. So you're paying for that expertise. I get that. But I don't know what J&D is offering to make it work. Like, we've seen seamless bodies; they exist. I have a. There was like a military figure I had that had like the hands you could pose. You could like put gloves on them, so because they were like a SWAT guy or something. It's like that technology exists, and historically, silicone doesn't last for shit. I mean, we've seen figures out for a couple months and they're already cracking. So, like, I don't see the value. Like, what is it that this Joker figure does that the NR doesn't do to justify an additional $1,000? Like, I don't know.
That's fair. Well said. Joey, I want to go to you, buddy. So, with regards to price point, with regards to just collecting Jokers, there's a lot of Jokers that exist on the market. What are your thoughts on why they chose a Joker to begin with for their first offering? And what are your thoughts on the price point?
I think that I know that they've said they've been working on this for like 5 years or something like that. I think they chose this figure and then 5 years ago or whatever, and then InArt was still developing and everything, and I think InArt didn't know anything about J&D doing that. I think InArt chose them and then chose the Joker, just because Hot Toys hadn't came out with one in a while. Sure. So they chose that, and then J&D already had this one in the works, so it just so happened. Out now. Yeah, it just so happened that it's like this, because if this was the Nurse Joker, I'm 100% in. I don't care, the price, whatever it is, I'm gonna do it if it looked good, and silicone looks great, but like Dean said, it does diminish quickly. But the price point is up there, too much for me. I am a huge Joker fan. I spent $1,500 on the third scale Joker from Prime 1. I will spend it, but it has to give me what I paid for. So I don't feel like I'm getting what I paid for this, even though it does have all these cool things and all that. I know you are getting the value, but for me, that value, I'm good with just InArt. I'm good with InArt.
Absolutely. Do you feel like if this was a numbered collection for 6 scale, would that make any difference to you at all?
No, I'm good with InArt. InArt's like perfect for me. I think it looks good. I mean, I know this is gonna look really cool and all that, and you know what? One day I might even get it. You don't know. I have no idea. If 800 and I'm like, I got the money right now, I got a little extra cash, I might, but it wouldn't go past the $800 one unless they come out, oh, you got a Nurse Joker with it or something. That's all I'm gonna do. That's it. That's my cap.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. To switch up the question for you, Zio, a little bit, anyways. For a $1,700 price point, let's just say that rumor speculation is correct, and to get the premium posability and all the things that they've shown in this video, what figure, or what character, I should say, would make you want to spend $1,700 to have all of that technology? Or is it the Joker? Is this the one? Did they nail it for you? What are your thoughts?
It wouldn't be the Joker. My number one figure that I always that started my collection was the BVS Batman. Now, BVS Batman wouldn't benefit from this because what are you going to get? A silicone part of his mouth?
Yeah, his little chin.
That's it, right? So it would be very difficult for me to justify me even getting a figure that really calls my attention to that extreme, Give me the Hondo, whatever company entry level J&D Joker, that's what I need right there. But outside of that, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of money, and you really, really have to love this character. And in my collection, as a huge Snyderverse fan, there's not a lot of figures. Even if it was Henry Cavill, or Wonder Woman, like it would be a lot of money to have a Trinity, right? It wouldn't just be one figure for me. I would have to spend $6,000 on 3 figures, would be an absurd amount of money. So it does push me away from even considering this just because of that price point. There's not a figure that I can think about right now specifically that
I heard
I 100% pay this price for.
Absolutely. And, shout out to 6 Scale Mafia. I see him in the chat here. Good to see you, buddy. Live long and prosper always, my Star Trek dude. He had a great live stream actually last night. Every Saturday night, I believe, is his live stream, and I tuned in there for a couple hours while I was cross stitching like a 80-year-old baddie. And there was a few people that threw out Terminator, and I just got a Terminator in my collection yesterday. He could be somebody that I could really see benefiting from the next level premium price point. I know Robert Meyer Burnett called out an Indiana Jones, like if you could get a perfect likeness to Harrison Ford as, Raiders Indy Jones, like, damn, that could be pretty cool. Like, there are characters that I think would make people want to spend that kind of money. I think when the market feels a little oversaturated with how many Jokers there are already, it makes it a tougher nut to swallow. I'm in the same boat. Even with my in art, while I love that in art, there's still aspects of the face that I don't think are perfect. If I was going to spend $1,700 on this Joker, speaking of which, Joker is probably one of my favorite characters of all time, if not at least in the top 3. If they make their their J&D version perfect to his likeness, I may still consider it. But it's like choosing to buy a Ferrari when all of my friends are still in the process of buying, Cavaliers, right? Like, do you buy it because it's perfect or it's the character you need? Do you buy it because it's the most premium and we want to be able to say we have the most premium thing in our collection? Most of the time, nobody but me sees this collection. So how much better does my Joker actually need to be in the collection? Nobody sees it. I'm the one that sits here and appreciates it most of the time. How much am I really willing to spend? Eddie, that question is posed to you. How much are you really willing to spend on maybe a perfect likeness, if that even could ever exist? Or is there a character that you'd like to see J&D tackle that you think would get you into that Ferrari price, let's call it?
I don't know how much I'd be willing to spend. I've spent a lot, but it's on statues. I don't know if I'd spend that much on 6 scale. I didn't think I'd spend. Well, I spent like 1,000 on the in-art Joker, so that might be my cap, and that was 2 figures. I don't know if I could spend 1,000 on one.
Yeah,
that's a lot, man. I
that's
don't
a
know.
lot.
It'd have to be great, and I don't know that it can get perfect, because we've seen. How could they do this any better than a third scale Joker, which they've done? If they can't nail a 3rd scale perfect, how are they going to nail a 1/6 scale perfect?
Very good point.
So, I don't. And a lot of people think that one is perfect. I've never seen it in person, so maybe it is, but I didn't think it was. So, I thought Queens was better. So maybe I'll think InArts is better. I don't know. And then I thought Terminator was a good point too. That's what I was thinking of, especially with this underground skeleton. If they made the endoskeleton under it, and then had like a damage face, it was like cut out and you could see it, that would be insane. So I think that's
cool.
a good one that would definitely, if it was a metal endoskeleton, it had all the light ups and all this crazy stuff, and that was like 1,500 for one figure, maybe I'd consider it. But yeah, it's a tough nut to swallow, man. So
I hate to see it. And it's interesting too, because nothing in the solicitation here shows this guy touching this piece at all with gloved hands. But I know a lot of people that have silicone pieces out in the world in terms of statues say, like, you don't want to touch silicone much with your bare fingers because hand oil will eventually destroy it. I wonder if the silicone is new technology, right? Like, think of all the Barbies that have existed in the world over the years, where those things go through like the meat grinder in terms of like posing and like getting thrown under tractors and shit, and they're still not cracked. Like, it blows me away why such premium scale quality materials that we get on 6 scale or even statues has the ability to crack so freaking easily. Like the Fison bodies and stuff, like, you should be able to bend an arm on a Thor figure or a Bane figure for longer than 10 minutes and not worry about a crack, right? You would hope, but it happens all the time. So I would have liked to see them advertise newly patented silicone technology, uncrackable, or something along those lines that makes it that much more appealing there too. And maybe they will eventually, right? Keep in mind, this is, of course, a brand new tease. We don't know the full extent of it. We don't know the full extent of the likeness yet. 6 Scale Mafia says here, I think it's some sort of like technology where it's going to get smaller and smaller, and maybe the idea is to basically shrink down a 1/3 scale and retain that same quality, but if not better, in 1/6. I've always thought that 1/6 was actually better likenesses than larger scale stuff. Quarter scale, 1/3. It's actually one of the reasons I got into 1/6 was I thought that the likenesses were traditionally better, and just in my opinion. But again, it does kind of remain to be seen what will happen there, guys. I want to wrap the show because we've been in 2.5 hours here. I want to remind everybody in the chat, because we've got just under 50 people watching, that Dean the Dream Martin helped me put together some channel membership benefits there for $1.99. If you're interested, you become a member here whenever you're in the live stream with us here on Sundays. The new nut, you get a little badge beside your name, so I know you're a member. Once you've been a nut for a while, 6 months plus, you become a dark nut, in my opinion. Dean's also going to be working on some more for me here as well, so stay tuned to the membership option there if that's something that's interesting for you. There'll be a whole nut gallery maybe on the way. And then for emoticons, oh my god, I just showed my age, I apologize. Emojis, for emojis, you've got the Jambo, you got the nut button, you got the tough nut to swallow can. Keep in mind, there's a lot of nut in that can, and the Let's Get Nuts, if you're interested there as well, guys. Joey, I want to go to you first, buddy, because you have not been on Let's Get Nuts in the past here. I definitely appreciate your inclusion. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up on the Collector Joey YouTube channel.
Ooh. I just got this figure in. That's why all this crap's behind me. I just got this one in right here. So I am doing a review on it. I love this one. It looks so good. So this is the Mark III, the 2.0. I like that one a lot. It's going to be a review coming up, I think. So I'm going to Hawaii on Tuesday. So while I'm in Hawaii, I will be editing, or it'll already be edited, and I'll upload it and everything. So no copper drop. Of course, the stream I have on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Central. I won't have that next week, but we will have it on the 21st and keep going. I'm trying to find them. We usually have a special guest every week, and it's just I try to get people from the chat that we don't see much, like the one of them was like Boba Fettuccine. He came on there, and for the first time, I thought that was really
great
cool.
show.
That was
a great show.
The movie canon also. He came on last week, so just like to have some fun. Even bigger names out there, like you see right there. I had Collecting Magnus on there as well. So yeah, it's just a fun show we do every Thursdays, and I know a lot of people watch for the for what is it? Who's That Hot Toy? I'm forgetting my own stuff now. Who's That Hot Toy? Everybody likes watching that, so I'll make sure I upload that every Tuesday, no matter what. And just whatever I get, I usually just try to review. So,
and I noticed that you have a this or that segment in your live show, which there's something about the this or that thumbnail that I've got on my channel. I'm like, I don't know if patent pending. I didn't get ahead of it in time. You hate to see it. But I'm just kidding.
No. I know. I was like, whenever I first did, I was like. So I did it, and then like a week or two later, I told the guys, I was like, "Holy crap, Ben has that this or that," and he did it like a month before me, and I was like, "He's gonna think I'm copying him, damn it!" And they're like, "Don't change it, Joe. You don't have to change it. I don't think."
I don't own the internet, man. It's cool.
I know. I was like, "Damn, I don't want him to think he copied me or I copied."
You're gonna just have to bring me in as a segment, a special guest of this or that segment, and
that's gonna be crazy.
Cool with that.
Worlds collide.
Worlds collide, dude.
Yeah.
So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys are new to the internet or YouTube and you haven't had a chance to subscribe to Collector Joey, please go over and do so. He somehow jumped from 5K just recently to 5.62K already. So
I do have
awesome.
a short that is almost at 600K. So I think I'm getting a lot of that. It's not like reoccurring people mainly, but it's people that like the Who's That Hot Toy as well. I get that good stuff on that all the time.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you so much for that. I will definitely keep pumping your channel because you put a lot of great content. Also, just the kindness behind who you are as a person. I actually really, really appreciate that as well. Very sincere, and I think that's really, really good. Mafia, 6 Scale Mafia just became a YouTube channel member. Thank you so much, good sir. I'll give you this.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I hope you like being a nut of the Let's Get Nuts crew. 6 Scale Mafia, Anthony, buddy, you're amazing. Actually, maybe, Dean, what I do need potentially then is a Star Trek nut, because I do talk a lot about Trek on the channel. Maybe I need a Spock nut, potentially. Let's pilot that idea a little bit, or play with that a little bit. Mr. Reverse Zio Carlos himself, dude, your channel is starting to really explode as well.
Appreciate that, man.
And you've been crushing it. So tell us a little bit about what's going on over on your show there, what we can look forward to from you, buddy.
So on a regular basis, every week, I'm trying to do an unboxing. I have a bunch of figures that I've collected over the years that I have not unboxed, about 30 plus figures that I haven't unboxed. And so every week, I'm trying to get somebody to come on. If you have anything to unbox, anybody's welcome to jump in and just unbox some figures and just talk about everything that's going on in the community, outside of the community, sports, whatnot. So every week I'll do an unboxing. Usually it's on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then I'll do some reels that I put up from my Instagram. I try to do a few showcase reels where I do some 360s or I showcase a specific figure or two figures. So that's primarily where I'm getting a lot of my content on YouTube. So it'll be some of the reels that I create, whether it's like just showcasing them and then unboxing some figures. Like this tomorrow, I'm going to be unboxing the So Toys Gambit. I've been wanting that figure for such a long time and I finally got it. So if anybody wants to check it out, I appreciate the support. I appreciate you having me on here, Ben. And it's good to see Eddie Money Mendez again, Dean the Dream. It's been fun, catching up with y'all. And thank you once again, Ben. You gave me a shout out last week, and I truly appreciate it. I think I grew like 5 subscribers just from that shout out, man. So I truly appreciate that, man. So yeah, still up and coming, but I love it, man. I love it. I just, do everything to have a good time and catch up with everybody here. So thanks for it again, man.
We all have to support each other, man. The only reason my channel's been as successful as it has been is because Collecting Weekly gave me an opportunity to be on their show. So 16 Fix did the same. Shane 16 Figure Focus did the same, right? Anthony's done the same. Like, we all support each other, and for the good personality, the people who care about this hobby and care about the community, that will always deserve a shout out, in my opinion. And we have almost 40 people watching right now. So if there's any chance that you guys haven't subscribed to Reverse CO, let's get them as close to 200 today as possible.
That'd be awesome,
that would
man.
be pretty sweet.
Ooh, that'd be crazy.
Let's pump them up. Let's
That'd
get them
be
there.
insane.
And honestly, he's been more generous with giveaways than even I have been already. So,
yeah.
Putting myself under the grills there. Good job for that, buddy, too, because everybody likes a good giveaway, let's be honest. So definitely do so. Brocon Toys says already subbed. Yeah, absolutely. Love to see it there. Thanks again for joining. And you guys, of course, Joey and Carlos, you guys are welcome to the Let's Get Nuts show. Anytime you'd like to put your hand up, you're now in my show sheet. Please let us know. We will definitely bring you back as special guests in the future. Same with your other Copper Drop panelists. I didn't invite them this week because I already had enough hands put up, but good old Spotchka over there as well. Definitely, and any of the other guys that you typically bring in. Austin Nicholas has already been a LGN host at some point as well in the past, and hopefully we'll get him back here at some point as well. Eddie Money Mendez, good sir, you told me today that you're actually starting to beef up your content a little bit again on Made Media. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with you there, buddy.
Yeah, I recently put out 2 different reviews. They're 1/12 scale reviews, and I know we're mostly 1/6 scale on this channel, but I put out the McFarlane Toys Batman and Robin Wave review, so that was cool. And then I got the Jada Toys Chester the Cheetah that I put out a review for that. So I don't know what typical content you'll see on my channel. It's been all over the place recently, mostly because I kind of don't like doing the same stuff over and over. So unless it's something that I really love, like I love those figures, so I did the review. Then I'll put out a video for it, but I don't know about live streaming stuff. It might just be random vlogs here and there, or random reviews, random shorts. Like, I'm getting super into pictures, like action figure photography, so I'm trying to get better at that. So you might see some of that, more of that on my channel, or posing. I'm having a lot of fun with that, so stuff like that could be coming soon. I don't know how regularly it will be coming, but I'm getting more stuff, so it might be more regular than usual. But yeah, it's been fun.
Heck yeah, buddy. And I just wanted to shout you out because you've become one of the more regular folks on Let's Get Nuts, becoming a really good friend of mine just in general. And I appreciate your take always, and your time spent on these shows. It takes a lot. Sunday afternoon for me is like, it's my time, and so unless I'm with people that I enjoy, and I kind of am a hermit and don't want to talk to anybody. So I love you guys for always being here to support me in the show and make it a good show for these guys, and thanks for that. I'm excited to stream with you on Tuesday night because that's going to be, I think, a fun one. I wanted to pull up Dean here because Dean, oftentimes after our Collecting Weekly Tuesday shows, Dean and I will sit backstage and just shoot the shit. Sometimes I'll smoke one, I'll have a rum and coke, and I'll just watch Dean draw for a few hours while we talk. And so this is kind of his process for how he's come up with some of these nut emojis for the channel members here. Tell us what you have got going on, what you're working on maybe right now, Dean. Are you going to put a Star Trek shirt on this guy for Mafia? What's the plan?
Oh, I totally could.
You got to give him a live long and prosper if you do.
Unfortunately, he only has 3 fingers, so I don't know how he'd be holding up the shocker otherwise.
Cool.
The shocker.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, while we were doing the show, I was like, I'm going to draw another one. So he just, excited and having fun. He's a little nut. So
He's a little nut.
I was kind of inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog on this one, but
I like his shoes. Yeah.
yeah, I have his. I keep this one up here. I don't know if you can see it, just for the color palette. And then a reference image, like how's his hat look, or what do I do with his? I don't have the eyebrows on this one, but yeah, I like to keep the colors consistent instead of just like trying to find it. So I just keep a little color palette.
If you give him some little Vulcan hair and some ears, Mafia is saying that could potentially work. The Vulcan ears. Take his hat off, give him some hair. There's always like that kind of like cropped haircut. I could see it. So.
Yeah, I could look up some images. Yeah, that'd be fun.
And just so everybody does know, he does
red
look
shirt.
a little bit like a ball sack as well. It's like one of those things.
It's on purpose, right? Let's go nuts, right?
Well,
in fact, look, I could take away his legs here. He's literally just a little ball sack. Where's his hat? I could take his hat off too.
Love it. I like all the different layers too. That always makes me realize the talent that goes into this. Yeah. That should have been the new member, just the basic nut. You love to see it.
Nut.
Basic nut. you grow a face once you've been a member for a couple of weeks, right? But Dean, anything coming up for you on Collecting Weekly that you want to shout out?
Yeah, we got the figure awards this week, which should be fun. We just have the listeners of the show nominate figures kind of throughout the year. And then we tally up the votes and then have people vote on the nominees that end up making it through. So that'll be cool. We do 6 scale. We have some figures under $30, 12 scale, third party, head sculpt awards. It's a pretty extensive show. So a lot of work goes into it. And it's usually a pretty big panel, so it's tons of fun. We all get to hang out for an hour or two. And yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. So that'll be nice.
Heck yeah, dude. If you haven't already had a chance, make sure you go over to Collecting Weekly, subscribe to those guys, but also vote on this year's finalists there for your thoughts on who should get things like Figure of the Year, Best Third Party of the Year. Like, definitely get your thoughts in there, right? It's more fun of a show when more of us have had a vote and can kind of sit there, just like any award show, have a little bit of a laugh with the boys and see if your picks end up winning. But guys, let's wrap it there. Thank you so much for another great live Sunday Let's Get Nuts show. To my panelists, I love your faces. With the guys, everybody that's in the live chat still to the end here, I also love you guys. Thank you so much for getting nutty with us. Dean, with that said, once again, we got nuts. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.